Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome, everybody, to Spaced Out Radio tonight. How y'all doing? Hope you're having a good time. I am, too, and we're just running really weird here tonight because this is the last show before I head off to Denver in the MUFON Symposium, and so tomorrow night you'll have special guests right through Tuesday hosting the show, and we want to say we got a great guest for you tonight. Roderick Martin is here, the Alien Endgame. I'm going to tell you, man, Roderick's beard is on par tonight. On par. That is one hell of a beard you'll see momentarily. But first, before we get too far in, let's say hello to everyone in our chat room here tonight. We're going to start off with Race Fan in the gold medal position. We have Awesome Man B in silver with Roy Boy taking home the bronze. Evan Walters, Jeffrey DeRuin, my man in Texas. How you doing? John Hinoyosa, nice to see you. Simon in Australia. Gorgeous Kathleen Hughes. Mama Susan, Les Paul Holland in Australia. Awesome Man Palmer, how y'all doing? D. Cohen in D.C., how you doing, my man? Good to have you here. D. Cohen, by the way, will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Lovely Laura, nice to have you here. Hallie, how you doing, my man? Dirty Filth is back for some cartoons. And They Know Jim, welcome back. How you doing? They Know Jim will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Luscious Jewels, the gorgeous Cosmic Floor, Raz. Thomas Fessler is here as well. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up straight down the middle of the studio. We rarely do it, but line up straight down the middle if you want Thomas Fessler's autograph. Remember, he does not like eye contact. All right, moving on. George Hernandez, nice to have you back, buddy. Lyle Myers, nice to see you. Dylan Grabe, welcome to SOR Chat. How you doing? And Austin Kovacs, thanks for coming on in. Tom King, please give us a hair update, my man. Joseph Syracusa, how you doing, bud? Cliff Sy, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And YTT, a.k.a. Andy, how you doing? Welcome to SOR Chat, coming over from Thomas Fessler's show. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit subscribe. If you are brand new around here, we would love it, and we want our listeners to hit subscribe on Disclosure tonight as well. So moving on, Jake Knott from State Farm. I love your name, man. Welcome to SOR Chat. Appreciate that. And who else do we have here? We have Triple Ack. How you doing, buddy? How's the UK this morning? Northern Illinois Sasquatch. Welcome back. And who else is here hanging out with us? Well, Sawan P., how are you? Welcome to SOR Chat. Dennis Zuniga, one of our great veterans who listens to this show. We love our veterans around here. You always have a safe home here at SOR. And moving on, A Muse, nice to see you again. The Cat Chaser, looking awesome tonight. Lovely Lisa, thank you for coming on in. And there's the gorgeous Dirt Road. Kelly Borrett, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. And who else is here? Pantroglodite, what's happening? Thank you. Asteroid, good to see you as we are within a minute of launching here. My man, the gorgeous Bomb Bomber. How you doing? Thank you for joining us. Stephen Rivas, welcome to SOR Chat. Our favorite Marine, Black Dragon, thank you for your service, my friend. We appreciate and love you, man. Worsley, how you doing, man? Where's beautiful Becky Belling? let us know. Peppa H, good to see you. Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube. Dim da dim, how you doing, my friend? The gorgeous Jenny White Bear, good to see you. Thank you for joining us again. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start the show. Magneticus, how are you? Welcome back to SOR. Moving on here as we scroll down. Penman! Zach Martin, nice to see you. And who else is joining us here? Thomas, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on Spaced Out Radio on a nightly basis. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Bobbert, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you as we continue on. I'm going to run out of time here, but I'll try and get as many in. Mr. Catfish, Phil Minervino, how are you guys? Jim Christie, the gorgeous Lacey Blue from Washington State. YJ Overlander, how you doing, buddy? Julio Avalos, nice to see you back again. Rhonda, Montpetit, welcome. Uncle Dale and his Power Stash are here. And now, people, hordes up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Tonight, we got a great show. Roderick Martin is here talking about the Alien Endgame. Then in hour number 3, we're going to bring you a story from the swamp, courtesy of Swamp Dweller. Tim Senor is in Colorado for the UFO report and the MUFON Symposium. Shirky Poo has the news. Roderick Martin is a big man on a big mission. That is, to get the truth. After a successful career in the exotic bird business, Roderick transitioned into his true passion, UFOs. Roderick spent months training to become a certified MUFON Field investigator, and since then has spent hundreds of hours in Texas and around the country leading investigations. He's gained popularity through his hugely successful Clubhouse group, Why the Big Secret, with over 25,000 members. He is also the author of How to Become a Clubhouse Influencer and host of Why the Big Secret podcast and YouTube channel, which we want all of you to head on over after this show or during the break to hit subscribe. And even if you're listening on terrestrial radio, hey, do it on YouTube as well. We're going to have a great show here for you tonight. Roderick Martin, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. It's a real pleasure to have you here, my friend.
Man, I'm so glad to be here with you, Dave. And I will say to the SOR group down there, the Space Out Radio crew, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. And wherever you may be watching this show tonight, we just want to say thank you. And I'm just proud to be here. Thank you.
Well, we're glad to have you here as well because, you know, every time we get a fresh voice on the UFO topic, it excites me because hearing different opinions from different parts of North America and the world in general, I think is very, very important. And you're somebody who's been coming on strong the last couple of years in popularity. And the fact that you are out there chasing down these UAP or whatever the heck they are in the sky over Texas where you are, I think it does some justice for what we're all trying to accomplish, my friend. So thank you for your hard work.
Well, I appreciate it, and yes, I'm in the jumbo state, and that's where these UFOs like to come out and play, but it's a Texas thing, so they'll get it.
I get it. Now for you, why the passion? Why the desire to know?
It's the curiosity, though, Dave. That's what it's all about, being curious. Now, let's not leave out the fact I saw a UFO when I was 12 years old. Okay. And that's here in Dallas and where I grew up. And I think that probably was the beginning. It has to be the beginning of everything. But once you start getting older, watching the TV shows and all other things that's out there, the curiosity just drives you bananas, just like anything else. The curiosity gets the cat, and I'm a big cat. So, let's do it.
Well, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, tell us about that UFO you saw as a kid.
Well, I grew up in a neighborhood in Dallas near the Dallas Zoo, so probably a few blocks from the zoo. So when it gets dark, it is a jungle out there, and I'm not playing. The lion, all the different noises, and every now and then helicopters because something done got loose. But this particular night, my mom, was pretty in the neighborhood. We had this street light, where everybody hangs out, and just like anything else, when nightfall hits, mom at that time, she's not coming out calling you to come in. You have to start eyeing yourself on a porch. And then if that light flicks, it's time to come in. So at that particular night, I thought she did it a little early. I was a little upset. Okay, I'm upset. And because my friends, I'm thinking my mom don't love me like theirs do, who let them stay outside. But now I know she loves me. And so I go to the house, and just when I'm about to make that walk and everybody's laughing, you got to go in early, but it's still a little dark, and it's right when the night sky's hit. And I was looking up, and there it was, this white little thing just kind of zipped by, and I was like, wow. And right behind it was two jets following it. And then it came back real quick, and it was following them, and that was it. And I didn't realize the significance of the moment, Dave, at that moment. You're young, and I'm 12, but I knew I wasn't going to go tell anybody, because I grew up in a neighborhood that if you came there back then, this is where the street corners were activated. And even the neighborhood bully wouldn't have said, hey, I saw a UFO last night. His street credit is gone. So I know I wasn't going to say nothing, and I wasn't a neighborhood bully. So it stayed my secret. Months and years went by. Ultimately, you start watching shows, you still start putting two together, or what it was, just not to say, okay, this is now, I can call it orbs or flying saucers or disc. And of course it wasn't orbs back then anyway. Technology was different, but yeah. So years went by, and the interest was always there. And then one day I decided to support MUFON as a member, and then basically ended up saying, it's time to get in the game, coach.
And you never look back. You just kind of ran with it.
You look up. See, that's the whole deal now. You don't look down anymore, not back. See, and people always ask that question. How come I don't ever see a UFO? When do you walk around looking up every day? And people don't. But if you begin to look up, I tell people the possibility is there that you'll see something. So yeah, and technically, no, I never look back. And it wasn't an easy transition. We can get into that later in the show when it comes down to relationships. I was married, and I was in a situation where I couldn't talk about UFOs in the house. And so that slowed up the process a little bit. So,
well, you know what? Right before the show, we should actually just let's have a cut break here for 2 seconds, because right before the show, my little guy was in the studio chatting with us, and he's upstairs right now, listening in and wanted to know all about everything you and I were going to be talking about tonight.
Okay. All right.
Regarding UFOs. So I got to give my little boy a shout out because I'm taking him down to Grandpa and Grandma's tomorrow when I head down to get ready to go to Denver for the MUFON Symposium. So I know he's tuning on in, having some fun listening, probably giggling and laughing because I'm mentioning him right now. So, hey, buddy, very rare Dad lets you stay above bedtime, but a big shout out to my little boy who's listening in right now.
Well, tell him to hit that guitar. We need to hear a note so Daddy can sing. Shut it off.
You know what? There's one rule that I have. I mean, when he is practicing his guitar, and he usually cranks his amplifier. I don't mind. I don't mind, because I never want to be one of those parents, dude, like my parents were, where, when you're interested in something, you got it a little loud and it's like, turn that crap down. Not me, man. I want my kid to be able to rock and feel that. playing. So,
well, you got to imagine if this is his guitar, there's going to be a day he's going to sing the song, Dad, darn, I'm going to take care of you, darn. You're going to be like, yeah, do it, baby. Hit that note. And there you go. Then he'll start jamming that thing. So,
well, like I told his mother, I said, if our son is ever blessed to, become a musician, and let's just say he's on stage, I said, I plan on retiring and going on tour with my son just so I could help him with the groupies, and make sure that everything's a-okay there. You got to pass the dad test. No, I'm teasing and everything.
Life is a lesson. Life is a lesson. Yeah.
Absolutely. But let's get back to some UFOs here. For you, as been a part of MUFON now, I mean, MUFON obviously has pushed itself to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the world when it comes to reporting, and that doesn't come along without its share of controversy and everything like that. But I'm steering away from that tonight because I think it's useless to talk about it when everybody and their dog is beat that subject ad nauseum. What's it like for you being a part of MUFON in the state of Texas? Because Texas has some incredible sightings around that entire state, man.
Well, I think for the most, and you're correct. It is a phenomenal place to be an investigator because we do get a lot of cases, and there are some states that don't get any, but we don't have that issue and never had. But I think for the most part, being around, Texas has some great field investigators, great state directors. Well, we don't have one for each state, but ours is pretty great, our regional. So we have a really nice crew. So I was really trained really well by our, the system that they put in place and was welcomed with open arms. And I think that, anyone who feel that they want to go further than the narrative and learn those things that, you want to look into this phenomena, MUFON is a great place to start, a great place to begin to grow, but then you're going to expand yourself deeper and further down. So, but at the end of the day, it's a great organization. Like you said, you hear some of the things, but it's not something that, you deal with and worry. It's a UFO too, right? And so at the end of the day, that's how we treat it.
I got to ask you, out of everything that you have seen in reports that you have taken, Roderick, and the stories you have heard, what do you personally want to experience? What's on the bucket list for you?
I think it would probably be, I used to say the abduction experience, but no, the hybrid breeding experience. That's the one. That's the bucket list. I grew up with James Kirk. He kissed the green women, the purple. He was the international world lover. That's where my bird and bees came from. So the Kirk experience is what I want.
Okay, I have to tell you, man, because I have an image of you right now on a spaceship, smooching away with some alien green lady, and all of a sudden you're like, hold on, honey, 1 second, sugar, here we go, I got to do this, and then flipping on the Barry White and putting the fireplace on, get that love-making music going, and there you go.
And you hit it. You'll never find a love like mine. You sing to it, and and it's a world theme. And then, of course, you want the rumor to get out. You want her to tell somebody in Galactic Xeon, and then they spread the word in Orion and someone else. They come from all over the galaxy to see me. That's what you want. That's what they did, Kirk. That's what they did. They had him set up, man. And I grew up on that. I really did.
Oh my gosh. That is too honest of an answer, and I love it. I do. I absolutely love it. And for me, I want to, dude. I want to park. I want to walk out of my studio one night and see something in my backyard.
Okay.
And I want to walk up to it because I've been 150 feet away or 150 yards away from a landing.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
And I don't know if you know my story or not. I could recall about 8 times that I've been abducted. 8 times.
See, that's why I didn't move the needle for you. When I said I abducted you, was like, yeah, that's nothing. You see, you got a bigger plan. Let's hear it. I'm ready.
I wanna walk out of this studio fully conscious, fully conscious, and I want to walk into my backyard, man, and I want that door to open down. I want to walk on that craft. I want to sit down, and I want to fly the thing. That's what I want. I want to fly. And I want to be fully conscious. Like, I don't want to have this experience where, you're knocked out, because then you don't know really if it's a dream or if it's a reality. I want live. I don't want Memorex. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you're seeing, of course, all of the pictures that we know of alien craft. You got to have a finger like this to fit into their little hand thing. Let me put this together. The Spock thing. So you gotta be built genetically. So they're gonna have to alter you a little bit. You're not ready for that, right? You don't want them to say, okay, in order for you to fly this, we're gonna have to, shape you up a little bit and change it, give you, the bigger head thing and some fingers and stretch them out a little bit. So or you want to go through that?
I got about 80 pounds that I could give up just like that. So I'm okay with that.
Somebody asked me the other day, how come would I be feared of being abducted? And I'm like, what? They sure they got a weight limit. I know they must have a weight limit. They got to, because I ain't been touched. Now don't get me wrong. We ain't talk about those cattle things they're doing out there, but I know they got to have a weight limit. So I'm good.
I don't think they do, my man. I don't think they do. I think it's because, you just haven't put it out to the universe enough yet that, you're not shining your Kmart blue light special above, that's what I say above my house. I got the Kmart blue light special going on. I once had an astral traveler come over to my house, and because I had some weird stuff happen in my house. My house is a lot of weird stuff, right? And so that my good friend who's an astral traveler, his name's Tony. He comes over one night. He's like, okay, dude, I'll do it in the middle of the night when you're sleeping. And the next day he calls me up and he's like, dude, your house is like a Kmart blue light special for the weird and strange, man. He goes, he's like, here I am in the astral. He goes, you got Bigfoot in the backyard. You got all these gnomes running around your front yard. There's ghosts in the house. There's fairies all over the place. There's UFOs hovering above. And he's like, this is just incredible. Just incredible. So I'm like, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I see. I don't know. I think that's that's the magical world of Dave, right? And that's great. For me, I just want it simple. Walking down the alley, you hear the cat, and you hear the can, and a gray alien peek around a trash can, and I'm gonna say, "Welcome to Earth," and I'm going the other way. Plain and simple. That's it. That's the interaction. So that's about it.
Remind me to tell you, you know what? For your show, I got to get you one of my best friends, Samantha Mowat. She's this beautiful pixie of a lady, and God is my witness, swear on my children's lives. When I met her on April 15th of 2014, 2013? No, 2014, pardon me.
Huh?
She walked me into a forest 25 minutes after I met her. She walked me into a forest, dude, at 2:00 in the afternoon, and we were within 200 feet of extraterrestrials.
See, this is the stuff that I'll be like, I couldn't get to point B like you did, because I don't know her, and she's talking about let's walk into the forest, and oh yeah, you're beautiful and all that. It would have been like, know about that, But the curiosity, though, if she told me at the end of the rainbow, you're gonna meet, Planet Xeon guy named Teddy, then I'm gonna consider the options, But at the end of the day, I don't think I would have went for the walk. And I'm an investigator. I would just have to look for the signs. I don't want the experience.
Well, put it this way. In every horror movie where there's always the stupid people that keep going.
Yeah, like Independence Day, they're opening up, with the signs on the roof.
Well, that was us, because before we walked into the forest, this happened on my friend's property. They had 10 acres, and in behind their house there was a forest, and I used to bring my 2 dogs over there to run around. Okay, and the farm had 2 dogs. Before we walked into that forest, Roderick, all 4 dogs went into the forest. And we're like, okay, well, the dogs, I guess, are coming along to see what's going on. We got about 50 yards in, and Samantha stopped, turned around. She had this real perplexed look on her face. And she's like, Dave, where's the dogs? All 4 dogs were gone. And then, so of course, stupidly, we keep going. We come face to face with the aliens. And then after about 20 minutes, when we started walking back and we got close to the farmyard, all 4 dogs came out to meet us.
See, Dave, this is, and I don't mean nothing by it, but this is where the culture lens, being in my community, where you don't walk, dogs go in there and they go quiet, then it's a done deal. There's some hot dogs, whatever we want to call it, but you don't go in there if the dogs are quiet, and then you don't take it to the next level. It's like, I'm not going in there. We don't make those kind of moves in the movie type stuff, So I get your courage, but I'm saying for me, and if I was with you and we buds, I'm going to look at you, Dave, I got your back. I go to war with you. You got a kid, and I need to go tell him the story. Your father was a hero. You get what I'm saying? I got to be the one to go tell him, and I'm going to make the promise to you, hey, I got your kid. I'll raise him. I'm going to do all the things that it's okay for you to go further. And if you scream and go quiet, the dog stop barking, I just know that was his moment. Dave lived for that. And I'm gonna look at the kids and say, listen, you're gonna grow up and be like your father, you're gonna grow up and do this. And so he's gonna be like, nope. Oh, did we lose Dave? So I'm the host right now. All right, so welcome Spaced Out Radio. There you go. Boys are gonna take it over.
For some reason, I got kicked out of my own studio there for a second, but
I had you, like I said, I had you back. See, when you left, I said, "Oh, I'm gone." I said, "Well, welcome to Spaced Out Radio." But that's me. I wanted to carry your legacy on, but not be.
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. We got about 2 minutes to go before we got to go to break here. Roderick Martin is our guest, the Alien Endgame we're going to get into when we come back on the other side of the break. But you know what? You remind me of my buddy Mark, because my buddy Mark, when we go out looking for Sasquatch in the British Columbia forest, he always promises me, my man, that just in case Sasquatch decides to come chase us, or a grizzly bear or a cougar, he promises he will shoot me in the leg first so that way he can get away.
Now, see, this is, once again, you got to know these things going in, and he's saying he's going to shoot you in the leg. So maybe I don't know why he would do that, because I think that still is not going to happen when it comes down to the Sasquatch stuff, right? And if it's a bear, he's going to get both of you anyway. He's going to come back for you because he know you're not going anywhere. They're smart enough to know that. And the Sasquatch is going to know it too. So they're going to go after him. So he's going to be that running target. He's going to, make the prey drive in those things work. But I got a Sasquatch theory that I like to run by you when we get back or whenever.
Well, the one thing, I think you gave my buddy Mark a little bit too much of a compliment, because I wouldn't call what he does running. Okay. If he's listening right now, it's more waddling. He's gonna
shoot you in both legs next time now.
Probably.
That y'all are twins in the run, the watering. Yeah.
That's okay. I'm okay with that, because he deserves it after the shots that he throws me all the time. Now, we've had some cool experiences, but it's not about me tonight. It's about Roderick Martin tonight on Spaced Out Radio, the Alien Endgame. I'm pumped up to hear about this, man.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
And that's just the way it's going to be, that kind of night. We got him for another 90 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Roderick Martin is our guest, and I want you all to go over to his YouTube channel and hit subscribe as well. I mean, just type in Roderick Martin. That's what I did. And his show will pop right up. He's got 2,500 subscribers. We need to get him up to at least 3,000 tonight.
Whoa! I'm with you.
We need to. So let's do it. Roderick Martin on Spaced Out Radio, the Alien Endgame, coming up right after this. We're in for a wonderful night of UFO talk, alien talk on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned for the second half hour coming up next. right, we're clear. Sorry about blipping out there for a second. I don't know
I
what the hell.
had you back though. I got you. Soon you left. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio. I was ready for you. You good? You good?
It's weird. That was weird.
I can confirm.
So I just want to mention, I know we have a lot of new listeners here tonight who may be tuned in for the first time. We are not a podcast. We are a live radio show, which is why we actually take commercial breaks. But you guys on YouTube, you get to see the behind-the-scenes conversations. Our man down below here, Dirty Filth, he is our resident Spaced Out Radio artist. And during the show, he paints cartoons of all things that are weird and strange. So I'll give you a little zoom in on what he's doing there right now. And so he's just painting away there. And by the end of the show, it's going to look absolutely fantastic. And yeah, we love our Dirty Filth around here.
I wonder if that's me. It looks like me a little bit. Is that bigger shape me? You know, is that
which one down below? No,
the bigger one. There's one bigger one, there's a smaller one, and then I wonder if the bigger one is me. There you go. Okay, yeah, that looks like me.
So this is part of his story. This tell us, Filth. Take your mic off mute for a second.
Wait, I got to show you the first part first. So Dave and Carl are out fishing one night, and then Carl gets abducted by aliens. Meanwhile, Dave's just having a good time. And so he's in his court martial, and there's a reptilian there, the like bailiff basically, and he's like the general alien saying, "Carl, you got to stop hanging out with that Dave character. You're gonna blow our cover." And there's a gnome in there too. That gnome just gets everywhere.
Yeah, that gnome's a filthy little bastard. He really is.
Roderick, after the show, you'll have to like get me your email or something, because of you going down the alley and the cat on the garbage bin and the alien peeking out. I'm totally gonna draw that. I want to send you the drawing.
I definitely want that. Yes, that is my premier. You know, you only get that in the movies, but that would be the dream setup if I were to have the encounter, because I would know what it is. I would know exactly what I'm going to do. I've acted out thousands of times. Welcome to Earth, and I'm going the other way.
Oh yeah.
So I'll be like, "Yep."
All right. I'm subscribed to your channel now.
Yeah, I'm good. I subscribe to yours. Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Let's. I'm putting the link in for everybody right now. Put the link in right now for everybody into our chat room, so that way, where you see it, you can hit up and hit subscribe there on the YouTube channel for Roderick. Why the Big Secret? And yeah, this is good stuff, man. This is good stuff. Very good stuff.
Hey, I'm enjoying it already. You know, we got a lot to go with tonight. So let's take them there.
Absolutely. I'm trying to catch up in the chat room here by saying hello to everybody. TMI, yes, I did get your emails last night. I'm not sure if you heard me say that. I just haven't had a chance to check it out yet. Barry Brown, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Rachel Lee, welcome to SOR chat. Big J, nice to see you. Who else am I missing here? My anxiety and my goes crazy if I don't say hi to everybody. If there's anybody I missed, just throw your name at the bottom of the chat room. Say, hey, you missed me, and I'll give you a shout out as well. Noble Patrick, nice to see you. And well, I'll put the link in the chat once again for Roderick's YouTube channel. This is the kind of guy I want our fans listening to. Seriously, great information, a lot of knowledge and experience in investigating. This is the real deal here right now. Roderick Martin tonight on the show. So, yeah, make sure you go hit subscribe.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, Lola, our resident guard puppy in California. She's our security guard.
Okay.
She listens every night to the show. Let's see if we where are you, Joe? 1 second here. Can we sneak this in? And let's quickly go like this because we don't have much time. Share. This is our guard puppy right here, Lola. Right there.
All right. See, now if Lola went into the jungle, or not the jungle, but into the forest, stop barking. You gonna go in after her, or you just gonna call her?
Oh, I don't know. Here we go. Second half hour right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Roderick Martin is here. The alien endgame is what we are talking about. What do them aliens want hanging out on this beautiful planet we call Earth? We're going to find out right now. Roderick, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be back, and welcome everyone who's listening to us and anybody who just joined us. I'm here with Dave Scott, baby. That's where I am.
I want one of your hats, man. I want one of your
Might have been
hats.
secret. Okay, I'm gonna get you one. I'll send. Actually, I have one. I have a red and white, and then the black and white.
Yeah, I like that hat. We'll make a hat trade. Definitely make a hat trade. And but let's get right into it right now. The Alien Endgame. What does that mean?
Well, it's a movie, a documentary that is on Discovery Plus. I'm one of the hosts in that show. It just started streaming probably about a couple of weeks ago. But the whole premises of this one will take some people for a loop. It's about military encounters where the government actually ordered people in the military, which they're denying it today, right, to fire up on UFOs. So Nick Pope, a lot of other people, Michi Kaku is in there. There's Rich Emberlin. He is the head guy. He's the former CIA trainer. Melissa Tittle is the investigative reporter, and I am the investigator, the UFO investigator for MUFON. And so I play a role in that particular documentary. But we go on a journey and interview people. One in particular, his father back in the 50s was ordered to fire on a UFO by our military. Some people lost their lives. He lived to tell about it. And then Nick Pope, who was the former minister over there at the UK, with their UFO program, and he got it declassified, and we talked about it. But the whole thing is, if they were to attack, what would we do? Are they a threat? Can we protect ourselves? Is it the end game if they decide to do what they do? So that's the journey that we go on.
For you, as you go on that journey and you try and figure out what the ETs are up to, what do they know? I always look at it the opposite way. What does the government know? Do the ETs really have that much control over this situation? Because I really believe that there's been contact between the two sides for a long time. What's your opinion on that?
No doubt. I'm past a point to where, the curiosity phase of, are we here alone, or, have they made contact? I like to go beyond the narrative. That's why the big secret, and when you think about it with our government, there's a lot of reasons they're going to keep it a secret. And there's a lot of things that they're after just as much as we want disclosure. They want technology. They want to rule the world within the technology. And I think whoever gets it first, no matter what country it is, it's a new game. And hopefully we or any of us hope that nobody gets to it, because we don't want no world dominancy in that compassion, in that way. And I think, by them turning off our nuclear weapons, they do that. There's a lot of things that they signal that they have the power to do. So there's a lot of things going. And lastly, if you don't remember, there was the Israeli, the one of their over there NASA type program at the first of the year last year. He mentioned, He said that the ETs have told them that they feel it's time to, introduce themselves to humanity. So we could be on their clock, like you're saying, and things will change when they want. But I do think something is happening, though.
For me, I always wonder, I think part of the big problem with this secret is the military industrial complex. It doesn't matter whether it's the US, Russia, China. Like you said, there's always somebody who wants to be the winner at the end, the big dog on campus. And let's face it, the world's a big campus, especially with 7.8 billion of us on this planet. And for any of those countries to be able to take control and not give up their secrets due to the military industrial complex, I think that's a huge part of it. How about yourself?
Well, I agree with you. And this is one of the things that I liked. When I was 21 years old, I worked on a top secret project for our government. And I can talk about it now, it's declassified, but it was a project called HARM, High Speed Anti-Radar Missile. Actually, I was 18 when they recruited us for that. This is when there was Saddam Hussein, invaded Kuwait. And what they did was they got a lot of young people to get the secret clearances. And where I'm going with this is that's when I really was introduced to our country military technology, which is really superior. It really is. And when you think about when people use the context today, oh, it could be Russia, it could be China, have these orbs. And there's not a country on the planet that probably, if they had the technology of anti-gravity propulsion and can move from this here to this here within seconds, wouldn't flex a muscle. So it's not one of these other adversaries. And I know we're in two different countries, but so it's not a military regime that's doing this. And I'm not saying they don't have technology and they don't pose, testing things that looks like these things to throw us off. But at the end of the day, it's extraterrestrial and it's not from here. Now, who's in it? Who's driving them? Maybe everybody don't know, but it's definitely not from here.
Where do you think this is coming from? I mean, when we talk aliens, we only seem to talk about the grays because that's what everybody seems to really, push their ideals and their passion towards. But I mean, there's so many different species out there that are going on, the Lyrans, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Andromedans, the Venusians, the Martians, and nobody ever wonders about where Nick Pope got his hairdo from. But nonetheless, we always have to figure out, what are we actually talking about? Who are we actually talking about? And, before I think we could get into the whole threat narrative that I think's been blown out of the proportion, where do you think these creatures are coming from?
I have two, places that I think they're coming from. And even though they all could be intertwined with outer space, I really think they're in our waters, number one. And if that's going to be the place, they've been here, they're already here. And when you think about, within the earth itself, caverns or taverns or whatever we want to call them. And then of course we do have, space, galaxy. Even China today had an article that their satellite, the big eye or whatever they call it, actually got signals from an extraterrestrial civilization today. It was all over the news in the articles, and then they stripped it out and said, oh, they came back and took it down. So the answer to that, Dave, is we don't know. We know that they're here. We know that, as far as the water, because if you think about it, the earth is 73% water. We know this, or 74%, if we want to be that accurate about it. And I'm in MUFON. A lot of our, reports come from water. Now, if you think about that, we as mankind has only been able to explore 3% of our oceans. We don't even have technology to go down there to see what's there. Perfectly placed for them to hide, so go back to the Tic Tacs and Commander Frazier, all of these things. Where are these reports originating from? Even now with Jeremy Corbell, the water. So they're in the water. They've been here, but doesn't mean that they didn't come from someone else and go into the water to hide where we can't see them.
Do you think that these craft, these extraterrestrials, these unknowns, are of a future human descent? Because I mean, this is part of the debate that a lot of us tend to forget. We all think, myself included, believe they're from space, but the reality is, if you talk to Luis Elizondo or people of that ilk, they don't know if they're from another dimension. They don't know if they're from outer space. They don't know if they're time travelers from wherever they may be, future humans traveling back in time, or just from another dimension or portal that has the ability to hop in and out of where we are right now. What's Roderick Martin's thought on all this?
Well, let's start with curiosity.
Sure.
And I like to share this with your audience. It's what I share with mine all the time. I always say your eyes are useless when the mind is blind. It's time to think why. And the reason I use that is it don't matter what you see. If your mind is not open to the possibility of things, then you're not going to interpret it. So to answer that question, or to go into my thoughts of it, let's go all the way back to ancient civilization. Where did they go? Whole civilizations just disappear. So did they get on a ride? Did they go, did someone take them somewhere else to reestablish somewhere else? And the possibility, like you said, could they be space travelers that, that look like us or have some type of human characteristics? That's something to determine, because we do see this. There is a formula. They all everybody have eyes and nose, and the animals, the birds. So there is some formula that is being used on all of us. But now at the end of the day, though, Dave, where I get to really think about this, today, even in that Chinese article, they may mention that something that caught my attention was that in this particular signal, although it came from another galaxy, it was baseline on human technology, so to speak, which means that the only footprint that could have sent something back would have been something that evolved in the same way we have, with the same characteristics of thoughts. And so that was right there. It was like, man, wait a minute. So a signal comes from outer space from somewhere else, but it has characteristics of a human radio signal, but it didn't originate here. Okay. So now when you think of time travelers, or you think of interdimensional portals, and so the possibility is endless of what is happening. But what we do know is there is something going on bigger now. The secret is getting more complex. We're maneuvering for everything. And I have a couple of theories on that too. Not just that we're moving in what we call the new space economy. So therefore we got to prepare civilization, or our little Dave, in 20 years, he can go to work in space in 10 minutes, they're doing that now. So the possibilities of conditioning him that there's more life out there possibly is in the making. So I'm just all over the place with that, because they are. And I think we're dealing with a whole multitude of things and a whole multitude of people from a whole lot of places.
What do you think about the idea that the phenomena is everything? It's you, it's me, it's time travel, it's death, it's life, it's aliens, it's animals, it's trees, it's air, it's near-death experiences, psychic ability, consciousness, the phenomena just being absolutely everything.
Well, it's kind of on Thursdays, and I'm not really plugging, but there's a girl that comes on Thursday. She's a ghost hunter. And we've been doing this every week for the last 3 weeks, trying to see if there's a connection between the paranormal of ghosts and extraterrestrials. Since ghosts appears to use the interdimensional, fourth dimension, or however they want to come through walls, ETs will do the same thing, right? Extraterrestrials. Is there a link between the two? So to get to your answer is that it's all connected in such a way, and it's going to be our cultural lens on it. So for example, if I had a ghost in my house and you came over and said, hey, Rod, let me go, I'm going to, find this ghost for you. Now I'm thinking right off the bat, ghosts are evil, it's bad. But you come back down and say it's your grandmother. Then what do I think? You know what I'm saying? It's your grandmother who hadn't left. She's up there. Well, get her out. You get what I'm saying? It's my grandmother, but it's still a ghost. So what makes that now that it's acceptable, because it's my cultural lens on how I see a ghost, versus an ET that people that I hear reports all the time, the reptilian came into the wall, came right through and abducted someone, or you got sleep paralysis. You got all of these things that we don't, it could be the same thing. How do we know it ain't an ET versus a ghost? And how we know they're not all in the same dimension. So it's worth looking into. That's what drives the curiosity of what we do.
Well, you know what? I think that's a good idea, because a lot of people have been looking into that aspect. People like David Weatherly or Joshua Cutchin, Timothy Renner. And I know in private conversations with Sean Cahill, well, I guess not so private, this part I could leak, and even Lou Elizondo, they have stated that they believe the phenomena is all one.
See, that's where I was going with that. That's what I'm starting to feel, that, wait a minute, they're using the same technology, well, not technology, but the same movements. It's just that at some point, and I learned this through Clubhouse, okay? When I used to do the show. Now, Clubhouse is very what's the word I want to look for? Trust and safety. So you can get some crazy conversations. But over time, Dave, what I realized, that I would get people to come up on stage, you let them all talk. And I really started getting good enough, depending on how they was talking about the phenomena itself, I can know what their religion was. Because what'll start happening is we all are seeing things based on our cultural lens. And that's not black or white. I'm just saying wherever your experiences brought this to you. So some people would get up and they'd be like, oh, they're angels, and they're demons, and oh, they're this, and they're fallen. And they're talking about the same thing. They're arguing, but in essence, we don't really know what we're really talking about, but y'all talking about the same thing. So I'll be trying to like, whoa. Could it be possible that it's all one thing? And just because you was over in this book, you see it this way. You was in this book, you see it this way. And hopefully the ET saying, I want to show y'all one love, one light, right? And that's what we hear. So
my good friend Eugene Braxton, who you have to have on your show, he is one of the most brilliant minds when it comes to the interconnectedness. He says it's not just connected, it's also intertwined, that polar opposites become one thing at times. And I think that explains it beautifully. I really do.
Yeah. And the yin yang, right. And, you know, good versus evil, black and white, light and dark. Yes. And I think it all has contrast to this dimension, that dimension, and they kind of intersect, you know, kind of like that poltergeist. Remember, you just moved the headstones. Remember that in the movie? You talk about, you know, they built those houses over. You just moved. They're like, really? The ghost didn't go with that? You know, it just kind of, those things make you wonder. You look at shows like that and be like, really? Okay. So.
Well, you know what? There's a lot going on with the phenomena and where it's coming from, where it's going, and how we control it. I have no idea. Let me throw this out at you here as we move forward. Roderick Martin is our guest tonight on SOR. Do you think the government of the United States is already in contact with extraterrestrials?
Look, you ever seen that little TikTok where the grandmother asked a question about come and do my lawn and they pause? This is where you pause to be like, say that again. Yes, I think that absolutely. They've been in contact for quite some time. And one of the things I tell people right now, you know, and what I do, not to get in trouble on my channel, I always, you know, we the truth seekers in our community, in the government I call, or anybody, they're the big secret keepers, kind of go with the brand. So I think the big secret keepers know and have always known, you know, about extraterrestrials that made contact with them. We got a lot of history with that. We got a lot of evidence to look at it. But, you know, if you start going past the narrative and people go, well, you know, there was bodies in Roswell, okay, they okay with us knowing that. That's not the secret. We got to go deeper. It's something bigger. And for instance, now I can ask any of the spaced out radio crew, have anyone seen a UFO stop for gas? No. Imagine us learning that technology. You know what I'm saying? Imagine that gets out, and all of you who got gas stock will be hiding the secret. You'll be like, no, I don't want my millions of dollars that I got in Exxon to go away because now we got free fuel. You know what I'm saying? And so the secret is being protected. There's stuff bigger than a crash that they know, and the government has it. That's me.
Don't you want to play with those toys? Don't you want to see those toys, man?
Yeah, I mean, but here's the deal, though. I think that we see them every day in technology, reverse engineering. We see it, you know, in our everyday lives because these improvements are out there in the world of business, you know, and so they're giving this technology. It is improving mankind. In fact, this was supposed to be in some of the treaties that back with Eisenhower that some of these extraterrestrials had made that they could take a few people unaccounted for, but they bringing you back, Dave. So we need to figure that out. We got to figure out why they keep bringing you back, because some people they don't bring back.
Very true. Very true. 65.
That's be the secret there. Yeah.
65,000 Americans vanish every year without a trace. The 1.3. This is a stat I got from the late Butch Witkowski, and I wish you had an opportunity to meet him. He was a regular on this show for almost 7 years, and he passed away in January. But Butch had a friend in the FBI who stated that every year annually, approximately 1.3 million Americans disappear.
Whoa.
Okay. When you take away kidnappings, murders, people running away, stealing identities, suicides, everything along those lines, and you whittle it down, it comes down to 65,000 Americans annually vanish without a trace.
What?
Yeah.
See,
and that's the number.
Now, this is where you personally are special. You get what I'm saying? Because if they're taking you and bringing you back, see, this is where I get into the why the big secret. We want to know why 65,000 people have vanished, but Dave comes back 8 times. Right? 8? Am I missing one? Or 7? 6?
I don't even know how many times. That's only 8 that I know
That's
of.
my point. So why are they keeping others, bringing you back? So that's what we're going to be, you know, investigating, finding out, getting to know you, and saying we got something special going on here. Spaced Out Radio. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just playing with something, but I you know, I think that there's a lot of abductions and things that are happening, and they know about it. You know, and even when you go back to cattle mutilations, which are bad enough, right? And, you know, you go back to some history of 1 or 2 human abductions that fell in the same line of cattle mutilations, so to speak. And you would think that, you know, we're not going to go for that. But that stuff is still happening today, still, you know. So why is nobody really talking about it is the thing. But I believe that, yes, people are being taken. It's happening a lot, you know, and it's happening a great deal. And there are some, like you said, like yourself, who are experiencing these things. And there will be some people say, hey, I want Dave's gifts. I want to experience that too. But they don't know. This could be something huge, right? So it's worth looking into. So,
well,
and
you know,
yeah. So,
well, you know what? I mean, when we get into the second hour, we could continue that conversation, because I think it's important. You know, why are some people vanishing? Why are some people staying? Why are some people brought back? Why are other people not chosen? I mean, there's a lot to go along with that, and nobody knows the answer. And I'm sure that answer is somewhere. We just don't know where it is.
Well, that is. So I covered a story yesterday about a guy named Tony Rodriguez. He claimed when he was 10, that he was abducted by reptilians. Now, here's the challenge of his particular story, which goes back into what you just said. You know, he claimed that. Let
me get you to hold on to that. I apologize because we got to go to break. We're going to get into a great story from Roderick Martin, MUFON investigator. He's got a great YouTube channel. Roderick Martin, just type it on in. His name will come out. We'll put the link in our chat rooms for all of you to go hit and follow the Why the Big Secret. Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio coming up next. Roderick, I am getting hammered by private messages about how awesome you are on tonight's show. And
Oh, really?
People are blown away by you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I'm just being me. Okay. That means we make a great team. Yeah.
We're a good team. Yeah. Let's do this. Even Dirty Phil. By the way, I love the comment by Bob Bizarre.
Huh?
Love the comment by Bob Bizarre. How many Dave Scotts does it take to screw in a light bulb? 5. 1 to screw in the light bulb, while the other 4 say hi to the chat.
Hey, there we go. Hey, tell him no. We're Octopus Dave today. How about that?
Always. All right. Always. All right. Dirty Filth, take it away. It's your job. Roderick and I will go behind the scenes here. I'm going to step away from the computer. And Roderick, if you want to hang out, we got about 5.5 minutes here.
Okay, good. I'll eat one of my little snacks right here.
Up to you, Dirty Phil.
It's all up to me here. Dave leaving me again. He's got to go run his vicious hellhounds out for a run. Well, everybody, I'm having a ton of fun on the show tonight. Roderick's pretty cool. Totally gonna have to get him on the show again. And definitely, Roderick, if you're still listening, I'm sending you that drawing. I'll get that done in a couple days here. I'll even stick it in a nice fancy frame for you. Oh, yeah, so we're painting up a desert. Can't quite tell it. Well, I guess you can kind of see what it is. I might as well just zoom in for everybody. So, yeah, it's still kind of hard to see, but nonetheless, it's the first time Carl crashed his UFO into the desert. And he's just speechless of what to say. He's probably thinking, my dad's going to kick me in the rump roast. Could probably add a caption there. I could probably sneak it in. But I'm not going to. He's just panicking. He doesn't even know what to say. He's ruined. This is part of the reason why Carl got court-martialed. Hanging out with humans, crashing stuff. And after this, I'm going to go have to wrangle my cats. They're outside somewhere. By the way, if anybody didn't notice, I'd mentioned it because Dave was talking about Lyrens. And every time someone talks about Lyren, I always have to say, hey, that's Blob's real name. Because she wasn't born the Blob. She was a football cat at one point in time. Yeah, all the alien abduction stuff, it's pretty creepy. I don't know. Had some pretty weird dreams in my time. But never physically walked outside like Dave. Where he'd like to do, just walk outside and UFO just sitting there. Diesel power. It's one of those old UFOs, so it's still diesel powered, like Carl's UFO. Just running away. I always actually thought it'd be a cool idea for a science fiction series of some sort where everybody can like travel through space and whatnot, but everybody's still using like gas powered and diesel powered, and you gotta like, it's like a lawnmower. You gotta grab the thing and yank on it about 8 times before the damn starship starts up. And yeah, that'd be kind of cool. They've probably already invented that. Every time I think of something, I go and look it up, and somebody's already done it. So it just goes to prove nothing is really truly original. Strike one versus Carl. Unbelievable. Crashed UFO all over the place. He probably also crashed in Shag Harbor back in the day. I think I mentioned it before. The Canadian government even minted a coin about Shag Harbor and the Falcon Lake UFO incident. I mean, come on. At this point in time, they're just messing with us. They're like, no, there's no such thing as aliens. We don't know what you're talking about. Here, we're going to mint this coin about UFO incidences. Would that be incident high? I don't know. I leave all the writing and that stuff to the professionals. Lawnmower spaceman. Hell yeah.
How are we doing,
Let's come
30?
back. Everybody stop talking about him. We're doing good.
Good stuff.
You missed the part about they should do a science fiction series where they still drive diesel-powered and gas-powered things. You get a yank on the lawnmower cord 16 times or whatever to get the spaceship going, and then it snaps, and then the reptilians are right on top of you, and oh boy, it's game over.
Oh, I hate that. Hate that. Let's see. Anybody else sneak in here while I disappeared?
No, said the cat.
I think we're caught up. I think we are caught up. All right, we got 20 seconds. Thank you to Thomas, Cat Chaser, Christopher, Big Dog, Smithy, Ken, and Rob for the Super Chats. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you so much. And do a little shopping at spacedoutradio.com. We got great swag there for you. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Mabsuit. Mabsuit is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. From the YouTube channel, Why the Big Secret? Roderick Martin is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. We're having an awesome chat. We have until the top of the hour where we're talking everything UFOs, extraterrestrials, and the big question, Roderick, before we get to some audience questions here. Why now? 70 plus years of cover-up. 70 plus years of lying to people about this subject, making fools of people, treating people like they are under some sort of psychosis and making things up. And now all of a sudden, here we are today where we stand, where there's debates in the legislature in Washington, D.C. The legislature is more of a Commonwealth thing, but the Congress and in the Senate, what do you think why now means?
Great question. And I have several thoughts about the why now. Okay. The obvious, which is going to be money. You got to follow the money on all of this stuff. And in order for them the big secret keepers, the government, to get us to buy into funding all these different operations. But if you go to like Morgan Stanley, their website, and they're telling all their financial investors that these are the top 10 space economies to invest in, from hotels up there, all of these things. So we're moving in such a way that right before our eyes, that industry, and Jeff Bezos said it recently, we're going to move industry to space. And believe me, I think he's a time traveler. I really do. When he was at this valedictorian, he did a speech, meet me in space. I'm like, how do you know that? He was 17 years old. But that's another story. But it's the money. It's the money. So that's one way of looking at why now. Now, on the flip side of that, think about it. All of us, people like yourself, us researchers in, UFO investigators, we've been telling the public for 50, 60, 70 years, don't believe what the big secret keepers say. They're lying. And I think they pulled a Houdini on us, all of us, because now they're coming out trying to say, oh yeah, it's real. And now we got everybody conditioned saying, oh, don't believe them. It ain't real. It ain't real, because we done conditioned people over 70 years not to believe them anyway. And they know this. They're one step ahead of us all the time. So why now is basically just a maneuver for them to reposition the secret. Because for a minute, I thought when we had disclosure, and this is a true story, I'm in this thing. I'm just now getting knee deep in it. I'm in 3 or 4 TV shows. I'm talking about UFOs, and I can really talk about something I couldn't talk about. And then they said, well, we're going to have this disclosure. I was like, oh man, the jig is up. They finna tell everything. We ain't got nothing else to do. No, now it's just a new beginning. These dudes are off the chain. And we gotta follow them, and we got to go down that rabbit hole. We got to do it.
See, I think you're right. I think it does have something to do with the money, but I also tend to believe that it also has a lot to do with the fact, which we had talked about in the first half hour, whether or not that phone call had been answered. Because when I break it all down, and this is just me, I could be completely wrong. Okay, I see 2 reasons why. Number one, there could be an alien false flag that Stephen Greer talks about. Okay, now I don't really believe that because I've had my own experiences.
Okay.
All right. But number 2, I also look at the idea that I really do believe we've been contacted. I do believe that the phone rang somewhere in the Pentagon and we answered it, and it was Mr. Ock from Zeta Reticuli or wherever, stating, this is when we're going to be there. You better start your preparations, because when we come, there's no turning back. And that's what I believe strongly happened.
Well, we can go back to, and I think you own to something there. Okay. You're on to the part where there is something coming and there is a message that has been told. That is without a shadow of a doubt. I'm going to follow you on that path. We go back to Oumuamua. Remember that? This object that came within and the way it moved was to a way that once it got into our atmosphere, as though it said, oh, we see him, and this thing controlled itself back at a more rapid pace, as though it was going back to tell wherever it came from, we found him. And I think that set a lot of alarms off in such a way that right after that, we start moving for this new space economy into space, even though they're trying to say it's a military thing from satellites and all those things. But once again, I believe something is coming. And I say this all the time to the truth seekers, our community, that preparation is everything. And now, am I sitting here saying, oh, tomorrow there's going to be some invasion like the false flag? No, I'm not even going that route. And the something is basically, that there's just going to be some alien revelation, they're going to have to come out and say, we here and we've been here. So, and those are one of the things that I think is going to probably continue, that we're going to have that. And that's what the preparation is all about, because, moving the economy, starting new businesses up there in space, getting people prepared that they're going to look out their window on a commute to work and see what we already been knowing that's there. All these things are just preparation, but it is something happening. And it may be, like you said earlier, that it is on the extraterrestrials' terms. And they might have already told them, like that guy said, it's the Israeli guy, that they told our government that it is time. So maybe they're on a different time clock that we don't know about.
Well, I mean, either way, it makes it interesting, because the mainstream media has yet to ask that question. And it's funny, because this weekend at the MUFON Symposium in Denver, I'll actually be speaking about how the mainstream media has absolutely blown their coverage of this entire topic, because they've never wanted it. They were just as guilty of making fun of people like you, me, people listening to this show, because they know better. And it's the arrogance of working in a newsroom. I know that from working in a newsroom. Okay, from personal experience. And I could tell you, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant at all. And I think the fact that we haven't answered that question, the most important question in regards to this subject, which is why now, we need to, as a community in ufology, be putting pressure on the media and the government sources to say, why now? I mean, it's repeatable hundreds of times over.
And you make a great point. And I think the why now is a complex question, because the why now ties all of this stuff together. Okay, why now we seeing more, ET reports? Why now that, they're all trying to work in unison? Because I always say this, and a lot of people, before this new government order of now having this centralized space, where we're going to investigate UFOs, is one office. So if you think about it, there could have been a UFO that come out of the water over here in Florida, and then all of a sudden, who sees it? Okay, the Coast Guard. So they got their own report. This thing goes up in the sky, and now the Navy or something over there sees it. They got their own report. It outruns the Navy and hit the air, and the Air Force is chasing it all the way back over here toward California in 3 seconds. So they can't keep up with it. Now they got their own report. Or it stops in Texas, though, and it ducks somebody. Now the Army is involved. They got their own report. But it's the same UFO.
Yeah, absolutely. But
the same UFO. So, yeah, they're not talking.
Here's a follow-up for you, and I apologize. I'm very excited when I get going here. Do you think, though, that they are doing a stall tactic by making this just a military problem?
No. I truly believe that I want it to be a military problem. And I say this, and I get into this all the time, threat versus peace. And I kind of go with the Lou Elizondo camp, period, the muddy boots theory and all those things, because it's no different. And I have a question for you now that you just brought it up. It just hit me. Okay. So, and where do you stand with that? Do you stand with the threat or the peace side of things first?
Oh man, that could go in so many different directions.
Okay.
I don't believe in the threat narrative. I understand the threat narrative.
Okay.
But I don't believe in the threat narrative. I think it's a chicken way to keep a lot of the reality in, but I understand the reasoning. I had I had Sean Cahill really explain that in order to get it in front of Congress, they had to use a threat narrative in order to make it look like U.S. airspace was being invaded by these non-earthly craft, in order to get the politicians talking. Once the politicians got talking, that's where all of a sudden, we stopped hearing about Russia. We stopped hearing about China and other countries that may be adversaries of the United States, and for where I am in Canada. And so that I understand that point. I never agreed with it, but I understand it.
Okay, I got a question for you then. All right. So little Dave is, today is dependent on his father's protection, the big Dave, the big dog. Okay. So let's just say right now he's upstairs, he's playing his guitar or whatever, he's going to be the next one, the big one. But outside, you done set the alarm on the house. Okay. You're now set the protection, the perimeter. You the dog, you the big thing. They're not coming in here, right? Or there, so to speak. But all across the street, you see this shadowy figure, and we're going to give him some eyes because we need to make it a little spooky. And you see him across the street. You sitting here, the alarm is on in the house. You protected. He waves his hand like that, and your alarm goes off in the house. It just disarm. You're going to be like, what? So, but you're going to turn it back on. He does it again. And you're like, what the hell? And you see the shadowy figure. Now, the problem I have with this is he hadn't attacked you. He hadn't came in, But do you not want to be prepared just in case, though? Because he done showed you the power, the threat that he could come in and do what he wants, shut your stuff off when he wants. He just hadn't done it. So where do you draw the line to say it's not a threat narrative? It's protection of my family or the country or whatever it could be. I want them to be prepared. I ain't saying what they're going to do, but I don't want to be caught off guard.
But you see, my follow-up to that would be, I believe that there is this UFO Pandora's box sitting deep in the underground of the Pentagon that has every answer out there, Roderick.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
It has the 65,000 people who've gone missing. It has Roswell, what really happened there. It has Men in Black. It has Bob Lazar, David Adair. It has every little secret regarding this phenomena out there, from crash retrievals to alien contact to whatever NASA has been saying after lying to us for 60 years that they're now getting into the game. And I believe it is not so much of a threat narrative as it is a protection narrative, because for so many decades, the secrets that the American government may have in that Pandora's box would absolutely send the American public and the voting public into a frenzy if they knew truly what their government knew.
Okay. You remember the movie Men in Black?
Yes.
And remember the moment that Will Smith found out from Agent K what's going on, and he sat at the bench, and what was the question he asked him?
Oh,
sometimes it stare right at you. The question is staring right at you. But what did he ask him?
Fill me in. I'm having a mind blank.
Why the big secret? Remember? He said, why the big secret? And then Kay said, well, he said, why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it. And then Agent K, Tommy Lee Jones, said, no, a person is smart, but people are dumb and stupid. They can't handle that as a collective. And they know that already. You can go back to the Brookings report when NASA commissioned them to find out what was this. It was back in the 1940s, so somewhere around in there, page 3 something or whatever. But anyway, the Brookings report, they can Google it. In there, I think it's, like I say, just go up. It's really big, but I think it's 328 pages. That's the number. And they wrote in there that they said, don't tell society about UFOs. They can't handle it. They did a case study. And they also said that the most affected community out of them all would be the scientists, because they just can't fathom, because UFOs are anomalies, and they're, they can't get this hypothesis over and over and over. And then now they got a theory that every day at 3:00 this is going to happen, because they don't have it. But now you see more scientists are jumping on the bandwagon. And so it goes back to what you were saying earlier. Why now? Because there is a push. It's happening more frequent, more things we're seeing now that TV and video and all these things are totally happening. You just can't hide it. And now that the problem you have with media, though, how come they're not picking up on it? Right now, they're afraid. Nobody wants to be the first one to really get behind it and find out that the government or the big secret keepers have threw another wrench into the program. And now you're talking about it's in print. Y'all said, you know how the media is. So, it's like we need some trusted sources. So everybody's kind of, and so it's up to us to be Superman, put on our super capes and get in our, phone, if we can fit in the phone booth. I can't. But, get into the U-Haul, get dressed, what I'm saying, jump up out of that bad boy. And we got to go out and share what's going on and get this thing hopping, because let me tell you, it's like you said, you can't handle the truth. We've seen the movies. They just can't handle it. Not us. We're conditioned already, and our curiosity is up. But it's what you're doing here with, the Spaced Out Radio crew, educating people every night, getting people together one by one. And now this group's getting bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually it's not got nothing to do with us. But I'm going to tell you who's going to make the change, Dave? You want to know?
It's the next generation.
It's little Dave. He's in it. He's in it. So so there's another Dave on another side of town where his parents are saying, don't believe in this stuff. You know, we ain't here. We by ourselves, and you know, it's all made by crickets and water, you know, the whatever. But your Dave is gonna know the real deal. And if he becomes the next president, it all changes, right? Because he knows that's what's getting ready to happen. It's the next generation.
Excuse me. Oh, that caught me out of nowhere. And I agree with you, because I think the younger generations, that 25 and under crowd that are moving away from societal norms and finding their own way, especially in their own spirituality, is really, really going to propel the ease of bringing in another society from the stars or wherever it may be. And that is one of the theories that I have heard as well, is they're not worried about the 40 and up crowd like you, like me, and many of our listeners, because there's still about 4.5 billion of us in that age category that are indoctrinated by things like religion and our own belief systems that we've been taught over the years, and we're very closed-minded. Whereas this younger generation, which seems to be filled with star seeds and indigo children, you know, they're much more open to the idea that there is, you know, plausibilities that we may not be alone in the universe.
But let's take it to another place with this. You know, now my kids are older, so I'm not going to say I got this bad parenting skills, but imagine how many people right now got children that is on the video games all day, right? And you complaining, you get off the game. But what you don't know is those skill sets, the reaction time, they're processing 20 million things at once that just outdo us in a millisecond. But they're the same ones. And I read this somewhere. I need to pull it up. If there was some zombie apocalypse, while me and you, Dave, is going to be running for cover, little Dave and them's going to they're going to hop in the back of the pickup and get some Hot Pockets, and they just going to start popping them in the head, because that's what they do. They're okay. They're conditioned. And then if you get out there and hit one of them in the chest, he's going to say, Dad, you got to headshot him, Dad. You can't do, you know, they know the drill. And so I think that their preparation today is totally different, and what they're seeing as the norm is going to be the game changer. It's going to be the game changer. And, you know, we'll be around, but I think it's the next generation, like you said, it's going to make the ultimate difference. Now, you know, granted that the ET just don't go park on a White House lawn next week and jump out and say, hi, I'm Pat from, you know, Planet Patron or something. Now it all's different. So, you know, then that'll be it. So that's my story of it all, you know.
Well, you know what? It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, because I don't believe it plays out, as we got about a minute and a half to go here. I don't believe it plays out as disclosure per se. I believe it plays out as confirmation until D-Day, which would be, you know, not to bring a smaller notation to that term, but D-Day for extraterrestrials to arrive.
We'll call it E-Day. That way we won't get caught up in the, but yes, they are coming. We've seen all kind of shows, you know, they're coming. They're on their way. So, and they're already here. Maybe just don't have enough of them to band together and say, okay, now we can come out like the Temptations and sing a song to y'all. I don't know. But what we do know is preparation is everything. And we need to be prepared. I believe that. And I want my government to be prepared by all means. And so, and even in the Alien Endgame, a lot of people lost their lives engaging with UFOs, and they were military. So on the other flip side of that, it's happening, you know, on a different note.
Well, you know what? I hate to say we got you for another half an hour, because I could literally go another 3-4 hours with you, Roderick.
I'm here. I'm with you. You tell me, you know, when Dave Scott says, hey man, I want to talk to you, it's like, oh, I'm listening. And don't get me wrong, I didn't have this beard yesterday. I knew I was going to be on the show. I started meditating. You know, I did my stuff and got into the light, and poof, so wisdom came. You know, yeah.
Well, I can tell you this: you gave me an idea for a brand new T-shirt at our Spaced Out Radio website. E-Day, they are coming. We're going to make that. Roderick Martin till the top of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio. What a great show so far. We'll be back right after this. I like Raz here. It's too late. We are doomed for ET anal stuff forever.
Hey, there you go. It coming. It's they're on their way. They here.
How's it going down there, Dirty Filth?
Oh, take myself off mute. Pretty good. This is a great show.
Looks like you're painting something in the desert.
Yes, it is a desert painting.
You gotta let me talk about my Bigfoot question for you, Dave. I got a Bigfoot theory. We'll do that later. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
It'll be quick. But it's I need your answer on it. It's something that I've been complexed about.
We got to get you up here to British Columbia, and I'll take you to one of my spots.
Now, you already know the rule. If something happening in there, I'm going to be the person that go tell the story. You know that, right?
Well, it all depends. If my buddy Mark shoots you and me in the leg, I mean,
I'm gonna plead with him. I'm gonna tell him I will carry him. I carry the gun. See, I will carry
too.
I'm gonna carry the gun. I'll be like, Mark, let me hold that for you, man. Come on, man. I got you, man. I got you. Yeah. He'll be like, okay.
I hear you. You got to watch out for him. He's
Mark sound like the great of the guys. Mark. Greatness.
It looks like a blob now, but I promise it'll look nice later.
Yeah, you know what? I can't wait till you do mine with the trash can.
Oh, that's gonna be a beauty.
Yeah. You want to write my email down, or you want to?
I don't know.
I can get it from Dave.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Actually, Filth. It's in our bookings calendar.
Oh yeah, I guess that. Yeah, geez.
Yeah.
Just go look there.
You can look there.
Filth, your big brain.
You have access.
Special access, Dave. Not just regular access. Special access.
You are a special access kind of guy.
Hey.
Well, I got the bald head for it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great show, man. I love it here. I love it.
Oh, dude, you're more than welcome to come back anytime, man.
Hey, well, you just make it happen. It's you the producer of this show. You just let me know.
Well, we'll make it happen because I kind of have a little pull around here.
All right.
I do.
All right. At least if you ever have to go, I can probably fill in, and they may think I'm you for the beard. If they don't look too close.
I see the resemblance.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me. But do you have this though? Hold on.
Oh.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
You got the hair?
You know I do.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful.
There you go. I got it.
Hold on.
Beautiful people in your beautiful hair. I got like a shiny dome. I used to have hair though back in the day.
So I got it. I got the hair. Oh. There you go. We own the night.
Yeah, I'll get you one of these.
Yeah, we're gonna swap. Yes, we'll swap. We will swap and do that.
Yeah, my hair makes his hat look like it's too small for my melon.
Maybe you just got a big brain, Dave.
Hold on, Phil. I can't hear you.
Why not?
What's that?
Maybe you just have a big brain.
Yeah, somewhat.
Well, it's all good. You'll be all right. It works though, because there's an adjustment on the back of the hat.
That is true.
And ETs will tell us that when they get here, they'll say, "Listen," because they're gonna have bigger heads. Supposedly, if they look like this gray behind me, and then they're gonna ask, "Is there an adjustment on the hat?"
Yeah. They're wearing a size 15, 16. You know.
Yeah. So that's how that would work, pretty much. But yeah, like I said, I this Bigfoot thing, it's just been, just got to ask you about Bigfoot. I just came up with this theory, hypothesis or whatever, but I just need to know, do I stand alone? Ask the audience. Do they feel me about it? we'll see.
Hey, Roderick, what do you
Yes,
think
sir.
about the missing 411 stuff?
Which one? What do you mean
The entire phenomenon of all that.
Well, I mean, when you said 411 stuff.
Yeah,
David
they're missing.
Politis.
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned David Politis. My apologies.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's we just don't know. What's really happening out here and what to believe, not to believe, and what's I don't know.
All right, guys, I got to get you. Hold on, we got like 15 seconds here. 10 seconds. Thank you to all the super chatters tonight. Very much appreciate it. Let's go into the second half of the show right now. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We have Roderick Martin right until the top of the hour. He is a producer. He is a researcher. He's part of MUFON, documentarian. This man does it all when it comes to UFOs, and just a brilliant, brilliant mind. We're glad to have him here. Roderick, welcome back.
Appreciate it. I love it. I love the welcome that I'm getting from the SOR groups out there. And it's just a wonderful feeling, and you have a great community. And I don't know. I mean, I just love it being here. That's all I can say.
Good. Because whether you like it or not, you're going to come back.
Guaranteed.
I will be
back. And I will be back at least 8 times because I have to be equal to the abductions.
Okay. All right. Dirty Filth. Let's make sure we get Roderick booked in another 8 times before the end of the year. 8 times.
8 times. Yes.
That works for me. But let's continue on with our conversation because we're getting really in depth with the whole why now. But I know you also had a Bigfoot question that you wanted to ask.
Yes. It's my question. It's the thing that keeps me up at night. The thing that, I'm not trying to be dramatic. Let me just get it out. All right. So, when they talk about the Bigfoot stories of, people that report the sightings and they talk about how they have the smell, right? Or, the tracks just stop in the middle of nowhere, or they, see light and all these things and then it's just gone. What do you think about that before I ask my question?
I think there is something supernatural with the creature. The smell thing could be something as simple as living in the forest, and it might be like a skunk where it's a security deterrent. But okay. as for everything like the footprints that just end, or the creature where they're standing in front of people and then it just disappears, I think there's something special about it.
Now you're going right where I needed to go, and this is what keeps me. So now, before I say this next thing, do you think the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the Yeti, all these names have intelligence?
Yes.
When I say intelligence, I'm talking like cell phone operating intelligence. This not the German Shepherd type intelligence, but intelligence.
I don't know if it's intelligence along the lines of, hey, can I borrow your iPhone? I want to check out what's happening at ESPN, because I'm a Lakers fan. I'm not sure it has anything to do with that. I do believe, though, that it has to do with something along the idea of they have the abilities to do things that we as humans cannot quite comprehend just yet.
Okay. So that takes me to my question for the audience. I've noticed when I look at some of these chat, you got some intelligent folks out there, and my question is, Dave, then, when we think about, you have a dog, okay, and it's dark, and you let the dog out in the front yard to go do its business, and the dog is out there wandering around. So my thing is, could the Bigfoots be pets of extraterrestrials? In other words, this is why they're out. We smell them because they're out there doing what the dogs and stuff do. They disappear into the light because the ships are cloaked, and so they letting them back in, and they're gone. And because I don't think they have that intelligence of what we think, but could they be pets that just from other galaxies? That's what I've been thinking and asking.
And that is a strong possibility. There is that theory about whether or not they are some sort of pet or something that has, come through from extraterrestrials visiting Earth that has come through. A good guy to talk to about that is Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio.
I'm gonna write that down.
And he's actually in our chat room right now. And
all right.
Careful. He wears a cape when he goes out into the field. He does. And we appreciate him doing that.
Like a real cape?
Yes. Yeah, real cape.
I mean, does he think he can fly, Super Duke? I mean, does he fly?
It wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, it would not surprise me if he could.
Will you take him with you on that excursion through the forest?
He's
got a cape, though. He has a cape.
He's been there he knows way more than I'll ever know.
Okay. All right. Well, then Super Duke, you're my guy.
Yeah. Great dude. Great dude.
Bring the cape. A bigger cape, a whole sheet to carry us both, please.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you definitely hey, you need some Super Duke in your life. Everybody needs some Super Duke in their lives. So, I mean, that's the way I would go. He actually is stating in the chat room, they are just as smart as we are, often smarter. They are refugees according to them.
Oh, so he's had conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, he's had a lot of interaction over the years.
Okay, then we definitely would talk about that. Then he would know my pet theory could be way off then. But no, because there's dog whisperers, and I've seen TV shows, and where they can say how they feel. So I don't know. We'll see.
For sure. Let's get to some audience questions here. Let's start off with Eugene here. He's asking, Roderick, what do you think of sleep paralysis and dreams as they relate to UFO abductions?
Great question, Eugene. And it's this conversation that I've had on many occasions, about sleep paralysis. And let's start there for a quick second, and I'll answer as quickly as possible. But the whole thing is, even a story that I began to tell y'all earlier about Tony Rodriguez. And one of the things he said was right before they abducted him, they paralyzed him. And I think we all probably have experienced sleep paralysis ourselves and how all of that works. And so does that mean we've been abducted, or have they taken us? Because at some point people have loss of time. They don't remember what's happening. But at some point, I think the sleep paralysis is the beginning of, as we are going into this zeta or whatever they call it, deep sleep, right? But we're conscious just to know what is going on. So as it relates to UFO abductions, I don't think they need to paralyze us to take us. And I've never heard the story. I've heard of the connection of sleep paralysis when people say they've been contacted, but not the associations of the abduction, or maybe, they come into the bedroom and they stand in there and you just can't move and say anything or scream or something like that. But usually it's not, they need to paralyze you to then take you somewhere. Never heard those two at the same time, but definitely point A to point B. Yes.
All right. Let's get to a second comment here, a question from our audience, because I know they're a little bit lined up. Raz would like to know, Roderick, where do you think disclosure is within the mainstream?
Right where it started, nowhere. Because I always said we don't know what the big secret is. We think we know the narrative, and I think they're okay with that. We tend to say, hey, King Kong thing. We know y'all know that there's aliens. Oh, y'all hiding something from us, and we all personally have kept secrets from people who ask us questions, and they think they know, and you just kind of giggle when they start telling you, I know you know this or you know that, and you're going, you ain't have a clue. And I think that's where we are with disclosure. I think we're on the hunt. We know something is there. We know that they can start with telling us, but if they start the domino effect and go ahead and admit to the one thing, then it just leads to everything else. So what are they going to do? Deny, and only present what we show them that we know. And that's what you see happening right now. They're only showing us what we could prove to them that we know. They're not just coming out saying nothing. So disclosure is still at square one.
And you know what? I think you're absolutely right on that. I think that is one of the truest comments you have said all night, because they don't want it. This is why I say there's a huge, and we have to, as a UFO community, get to the understanding that disclosure means nothing. It's about confirmation, because if they were going to disclosure is everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's Roswell, it's Eisenhower, it's Lazar, it's the Air Force not hiding secrets, it's the Navy, it's airlines, it's your experiences, my experience. That's disclosure.
And the ones we don't know, like, oh, y'all didn't know this, but here, I want to show y'all. They're not doing
Absolutely.
it.
No, they're not. So that's where I think it's more confirmation than anything. Let's go earlier on.
Redemption. I would say redemption for all the people who made fun of. At least is redemption for them to know you wasn't crazy. This is happening, and that's the best part of it all right now.
Ken would like to know, what are your thoughts on the new Gallagher amendment?
I don't know much about it, to be honest with you. So I would be the worst person to get into it. I would think it was some real estate stuff back in the day when I first started researching and stuff. But I don't know much about it, being honest with you.
And it just came out earlier today or late yesterday. Ken, I apologize. I have not had a moment to read it yet. I will get more up to date on it for a little bit longer here. Probably next week we can really delve into it. But I've been more concentrating on getting everything ready for my speech in Denver. So I do apologize about that. Huckleberry Charles would like to know, Roderick, isn't element 115 used as fuel for space flight?
See, now here's where this is where the question is for Big Dave. See, now I'm tuning out, but I will tell the first one about the Gallagher Amendment. Ask me tomorrow. I'll have some information. Now, the 115 element is used as fuel for spaceship. I have no freaking clue when it comes down to that particular thing, because, you got Bob Lazar and all of their, they come up with this bigger thing, and I try to be honest with everybody. I try to keep it down, not just with all the nuts and bolts, but the reality of things. And I tend to stick with that, because you can't get lost into, is there a new gamma ray, or is there a new, which I don't think affect us on a ground level at all. And I just try to make sure I try to learn more things that's going to affect us in an everyday life. Not that Charles don't have a great question, because he does, and it matters. I just don't dig that deep into those things that when I have 25 cases of somebody, going through some mental anguish of being contacted or abducted, I try to stay on the ground and trust the witnesses,
Very true. We got about 10 minutes to go here. And earlier on, we started talking about the scientific community that you brought up. And I'm very curious to get your opinion on what your thoughts are regarding the way Neil deGrasse Tyson has really tripped and fumbled and stumbled over this topic.
So you want to answer for him? I think Neil is just like all the other scientists at some point. They are getting in. Scientists, let me try to say it. I don't know his train of thought, but I do know he appears to have some intelligence and high intelligence. And I think he knows, his audience knows that he's intelligent, and he want to keep it that way. So in saying that, what scientists want to get on the other side of this phenomena, and now that more evidence is coming out, you get what I'm saying? So they all going to start leaning to look smart and begin the process of saying maybe. So Neil goes just as far as to say the possibilities of there, but because, like I said earlier, because they go off to these hypotheses, they got to have, for example, the spacecraft shows up at 3:00 every day. And then when it shows up every day, it drops off 10 balloons or bologna sandwiches. And so now for them to say it drops off 10 bologna sandwiches every day at 3:00, it's going to be a picnic at 4. So that's how they come up with their theories, because the hypothesis is happening over again. But the fact that the ETs don't play that, they don't show up at the same place at the same time, they don't do nothing, everything is random, everything is at their will, the scientists cannot comprehend not being able to test something, put their hands on it, run these hypotheses, and it blows them away because it's past physics. These things are moving faster than the speed of sound. They're moving quicker over here than, all they don't have an answer for it, and they don't want to look stupid. So they just play along with us. I think that's my opinion.
I wish that he would take the time to understand, and I'm sure he does. He's a brilliant man.
He does.
But at least publicly understand that there are numerous people with the exact same degree of education as he has. Avi Loeb out of Harvard being one of them, Travis Taylor being another, who could put him to shame in a debate regarding this subject. So, why close off the science, though? That's the beautiful part about science. He should be, in my opinion, excited about this, that there could be a whole new wave of scientific theory and understanding by going down this path of learning about the phenomena.
Well, you would think so, but you said it just then. It's not only the ego side of things, but he's not going to put his reputation. Any scientist, I think, is not going to. In Bomber, I have a new child, so she done put it in there, be the dad. So let me just answer that chat. But here's what I'm saying: it's they're not going to do that. He's not going to. Most scientists won't, because their reputation on the line, and they just don't. But they got these guys. I interviewed Bob Salas from the Master. Yeah. And one of the things he told me about 2 months ago, we was on the phone after we interviewed, and we talked a couple of times. He says, Roderick, it's time to just trust the witnesses. He said, we're in a phase that we got to trust the witnesses. And the same thing that Neil deGrasse, they're not going to trust these witnesses and people who are saying this is what's happening. And although they're getting all these reports, they're getting it, but they just won't put their reputation on the line for it, because once again, it's not that they don't know the truth. They know. He knows. He get the facts. He knows something that's out there, but it just never was built on his reputation. He always been against the grain, and so he has to stay that way, I think, instead of pivoting and saying, "Oh," because who's gonna come out and say, "Oh shucks, I was wrong. I'm the Neil deGrasse Tyson. Let me talk like him." And the UFOs are real. He ain't gonna do that. And
no,
he can say it, just like I said it too. He can say it, but he ain't gonna do that.
But I mean, it's also a pleasurable ignorance that they are playing on the public as well. I mean, if you look at NASA, which has been my pet peeve over the last couple of months, the way they're playing stupid, that they know nothing about UFOs, but we as NASA got to get into the game.
The money.
But $100,000 isn't a lot of money to really throw at it. It's chump change.
That's what we think. And this is why I think you and I right now, we're going to do it right now. I'm going to write it down. We're going to start a new movement Here we go. Hashtag UFO taxes. That's going to be our new movement. Hashtag UFO taxes. We want anybody to pay taxes in any country, wherever, to begin asking the government, where my money at? Where are you spending my money? Because that's the whole deal. We don't ask enough questions about the money. They got us focusing on the ordeal. So NASA is the same way. They know money is involved in this new thing, like the was the mafia, this new thing, y'all. This is our thing. They know, wait a minute, we can get left out of all the budgets. They're voting on 20 million, 30 million. We need to get in on it. And the UFO is a hot thing. So that's what they're doing. And they know it all along. But now they trying to say, oh, well, now we need to explore. They the original people covering up the big secret. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you look at NASA, the way they've thrown their astronauts under the bus and everything that's gone along with it. It's ridiculous. We got 3 minutes to go. Let's get to YJ's question here. Of all the legitimate alien species, what do you think is the one we should be afraid of?
You would think it would be the reptilians, people talking about that all the time. I will say the one that is abducting people and not bringing them back. That's the one, because obviously they got it to a science. They're doing it and they're bold enough to take people with them. And those are the ones we should be afraid of, because you don't see them and you don't see the remnants of there's no evidence behind, right? Everything else is okay. You get the stories, you get, the pregnancies now that's coming out. All these things are evidence and, sightings. We see that. It's the ones we don't see that's moving in that other dimension, doing those things that we can't see, and it's happening right before our eyes, and we can't believe it. So that's why your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. So we got to think why.
We got 2 minutes to go with you, just over.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it.
I'll stay over too if you need me, but I know you don't. This is your show. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I didn't know up until now, and now I've got the format, I've got everything going here.
How you doing? Because I'm coming 8 more times. So
yeah, 8 more times, more times before the end of the year. We'll make that happen. But tell everybody where they can find your information, your documentary, your YouTube channel, social media.
Okay, so I would love to. Why the Big Secret? Roderick Martin. Why the Big Secret is the YouTube channel. Okay. Definitely, if you can subscribe to the channel, support just what we do, and I'm going to learn some more things from Dave himself. The Instagram is Real Roderick Martin. Twitter is Roderick Martin. And I do have some Why the Big Secret website that I'm putting up, so don't go there. So the YouTube and then the podcast. Now, I'm also in the TV show called The Alien Endgame, and that's on Discovery Plus. It's streaming right as we speak right now. I'm one of 3 hosts. If you heard of Billy Carson, Forbidden Knowledge TV, I'm in a documentary called The Black Knight Satellite with Jimmy Church. Just a bunch of people there. David Silver, I think a couple others. But anyway, that one will be found on Forbidden Knowledge TV. Just yesterday on Fox Tubi, there's a new show called The Abduction Aliens in Roswell 75. I kind of do some cameos in that, a few. I'm in that show. I just came back from Gaia, filming a show with George Norrie. So that's going to go in the month. And I go back to be on Open Minds in September, back to George Norrie on January. And then I just finished a whole 8-episode show for another network that'll be airing soon. So, but the YouTube channel, just come there. I'm there every day, 8 to 10 before you, Dave. Yeah.
You know what? Let's change the format. Are you still awake? You want to continue on another 30 minutes?
Well, yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, let's do it.
I go to bed late. This is what I do.
All right. Let's do it. Quick format change. We're going to return. I'm just loving this with Roderick tonight. Let's just stick with it. Another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. And then at the bottom of hour number 3, we'll bring in Swamp Dweller. We will bring in whatever else we can figure on out. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this, so stay tuned. Roderick Martin is our guest. Yeah, we're going to extend this. I'm feeling good about it. Sometimes you just got to say, what the hell? Make it happen. The audience wants it. I want it. So let's do it. We continue with Roderick Martin on Hour 3 on Spaced Out Radio right after this. You can blame the audience for this.
No, I'm good. I didn't blame them. I'm loving it.
Good. We got 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay, that'll work.
Oh, there we are.
There you go. What do we got?
Live with Dirty Filth. So we're almost done here with all the inking and such. So it doesn't turn out to be a blob in the end.
I was just gonna ask, where's his legs? Did he lose them in the crash? But there you go.
They materialize like a Sasquatch in the forest.
I know. Booyah.
I've never seen a Sasquatch. Filmed a UFO once. Fairly convincing.
Okay, all right. The Yeti is what they call him. The Bigfoot. But what if it's a baby Sasquatch? Then does it have little foot?
Oh, possibly.
That's
you know what though? In Australia, they have the Yowie, is what they call their Sasquatch.
Whoa, like Yowie, like ouch, or Yowie, like what does that mean?
Yowie, and that's what they call their Sasquatch. I guess that's what the indigenous people call them there. As far as I know, I'm not totally 100% sure. So, but I do have we're gonna have a guest on, and he's gonna he'll talk about that. To be honest, I tried to get him on early this year, and there was a snafu. But he's doing some filming, and we're supposed to get him on, August, September or something. But it's pretty neat because Sasquatch and Bigfoot have been seen all over the world, right?
Yeah.
It's not like someone goes, "Ha ha, yeah, you're crazy. It was a bear standing on its feet." Well, hunters go in the forest and they see bears all the time and moose, and it's like, yeah, I didn't see a moose. I didn't see a Sasquatch. I know what I seen.
So why we can't pick them up with like infrared and satellite images and just stuff, because they can reach a cigarette with a satellite if they wanted to. You know what I mean? That's just why I think they're pets, and they're going back into the spacecraft after they've done their business, and that's why we smell them, and then they go back in. That's my theory.
Well, there's a lot of times where people will say, "Hey, I seen a UFO," and then I seen a Sasquatch right after.
That's my point. That's my point.
That's a really good point. I've never actually thought about it that way, because I heard maybe it's a pet or something, and I think, okay, people dump their cats off on some farm road somewhere, so maybe that's why you get the obligatory Sasquatches that people see over and over, or I don't know, maybe like dogmen or something. It was like, oh, this is a horrible mistake. Just go dump your alien animals off on Earth. Like, they're still backwards. They can't travel through space yet. Just let them squirm a bit.
Well, that's the point. So let them, do their business on Earth. It's a bad place anyway. They're not taking care of that planet. Go over there and light up the tree and stink it up.
Yeah, scare some humans while you're at it.
Yeah, there you go. Scare some humans while you're at it, and and do that. I don't know. I just think that's, we as humans, we got pets too. And eventually, when we start flying around the universe and being an interplanetary species, we're going to be taking our dogs and we're going to let them out on Mars to use the restroom.
Oh, definitely. And, people have done it before. Oh, we forgot the cat back at the place, whatever. Carry on. It's a 16 light year drive back. We're not making that turnaround.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm 100%. So I think
Tim Senor is going to join us as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Denver right now, getting ready for the MUFON Symposium. So he's going to join us, and it's going to be awesome.
I wonder if he was there last year. I was there last year. They gave me a standing ovation.
I would too.
Yeah. Were you there last year? No, I wasn't. No. Yeah.
No, this is my first one.
Yeah, they gave me a standing ovation. They said, well, Roderick, they surprised me. I didn't know I was there doing the TV show Alien Endgame. Discovery Channel sent me there. And they had Doug, who just resigned. He says, I want to bring this guy up. And he told me to stand up. He says, over the last year, you have been responsible for bringing in more young people in MUFON that we've had in years. And he said, because I would talk about it in Clubhouse and all that stuff. And he says, I get the calls every day. I want to work with Roderick, the big guy. And I'm like, big guys in big, not the food chain. So they have right or right. But yeah, so they gave me a surprisingly standing ovation of just really delivering a good message and bringing in a new generation of people.
That's great. And I actually recently rewatched Endgame. That was a great documentary.
Did you see me? You saw me in it, right? You saw me?
Of course I did. Yeah.
I didn't. I'm working on the Dave Scott deal. So there you saw was bald head like you, and I converted from you to him, and I'm a hybrid. I'm a hybrid. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's a great look, man. I love it.
No, appreciate it. Yeah.
Right.
That's when you can't afford the barber, and you just not his case, because his is eloquently designed. Mine is.
Are you kidding me? I would die for your. I would die for your beard and mustache combination.
Well, let me tell you, yesterday it was down here. I cut it. It was right here yesterday.
Oh, I want to see that. Yeah. All right, guys, we have 10 seconds. Thank you to all the super chatters. By the way, if you go to our store on our website, the E-Day They Are Coming t-shirt is up for sale right now. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Mabsuit. Mabsuit is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Look, normally we go to the Swamp Dweller at this time, but we're having so much fun tonight that we are going to continue on with Roderick Martin, our guest who's been here for 2 hours already. We are now joined as well by Tim Senor from the UFO Report, and he is in Denver, Colorado, getting ready for the MUFON Symposium, where I will be meeting with Tim in just 2 days' time, hanging on out, getting all ready. Roderick, welcome back, my friend.
I'm glad to be here, and I'm just, I'm glad to be here. No joke, though. Really, I enjoyed this. I really am.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. And Tim, how was your flight down to Denver?
You know how it was. Great. It was great. It's hard to compete. I've got two guys with such butter for voices. I can't even compete. You guys have that creamy voice. It's just so great to listen to. I love it.
It's a beer.
The two of you together. Yeah.
It's a beer thing. But you know what, Tim? One of the things that I get that question, and people always ask, how was your flight? And I just say it didn't crash. I mean, that's the only thing you can measure the flight. It didn't crash. That was a good flight.
I didn't see any UFO, and I was looking. I had a window seat. I always look out the window. Lots of cloud, beautiful flight, but no UAP, nothing to report. No, I know what you mean. It's just, you never know, right? So got to keep your eyes on the skies.
Doug Shelby, the Doug Shelby in our audience, says Roderick is more my type of researcher, that instead of going towards the subject and probable doom, they get some distance between. And in my case, have guns. I love it.
That's it. I tell, and I say that all the time. I'm like, that's why I'm not going to deduct it. I carry guns. I want them to know. I'm not going down that simple. It's not that. We're just not doing that. Don't abduct me today. Not today.
All right, Tim, before we get into the UFO stuff down in Denver that I'm going to be meeting you up for, because we want to get a rundown of everything that you've seen so far as people start to trickle in. Let's get to a question from Raz here. Is Travis Taylor on the same level as Lou Elizondo with secrets and insider knowledge? Roderick, do you want to take that one right off the bat?
No, I think Lou knows the stuff. And when now I see all the stuff that's coming out, and now you see the documents and complaints that he wrote and the inside, he's in the inside. I think that, because you got some of these people, they have those experiences and whatever, but Lou is on that side that we know is dark. You know what I mean? He's coming out of those dark places, the ones that people come up missing, knowing what they know. That's when you know you're in the inside of things, the Darth Vader side.
What do you think there, Tim?
Excuse me. Well, I mean, obviously he comes from a place of deep knowledge, and we know who he works with, and those people come from a deep amount of knowledge. Now, Travis is a totally different cookie, really. If you think about it, he's an experiencer, and somebody that potentially was abducted and has an incredible story. And, there's a lot of, a lot to be said about that story as far as historical cases. But to compare Lou with him, I think is a tough one, because Lou, I don't think, is so much as an experiencer as somebody that is looking for a passage to disclosure. And I think, we're seeing him collaborating with some of the people in the know to further this narrative. And obviously, I was actually talking with somebody here earlier about this exact topic. And the fact of the matter is we've seen information parsed out, over time from Lou Elizondo and other people within his group, and not so much just giving you information, letting you find it out on your own, giving you clues, if you will, cookie crumbs. And along with that, he followed within his NDAs so that he wasn't breaking any rules. He promised us information, and he explained that it would come over time and for us to wait for it. And I think that's exactly what we've seen with the things that came out, in the Pentagon. That was stuff that he had said we would see. And now, obviously, this paperwork that proves this case has actually been brought forward. And I think that, just like he said all along the way, it would prove itself out.
Well, I'm gonna agree and disagree with both of you regarding this. I think Elizondo and Taylor are in such an upper echelon of this topic that they are probably one of the same within secrets and insider knowledge. Tim, I will disagree with you.
I see what you're saying. I'm sorry, I was confused. I thought you were talking about Travis Walton.
Oh,
not
sorry.
Travis Taylor. I'm sorry. So
No worries.
comparing Travis Taylor. Okay, excuse me.
Well, the other thing too is I do believe Lou Elizondo is a major experiencer. I think that due to his NDAs, and this is no insider knowledge or anything like that. I think due to his NDAs and due to his patriotism, that it would be a death knell to his future career, whatever that may be, if he came out as an experiencer, at least at this time. But I could tell you this, in reading between the lines of what I have learned from him in my conversations and interviews with him, as well as listening to what he has said with his Easter eggs that he drops with other people on interviews, I would say 100% he's an experiencer. 100%. And I didn't know. I'm sorry, Roderick.
I think Lou mentioned that remember they said one of the conversations that he was having with forget the guy when he first was introduced to the program, he was sharing he had an experience. He was an experiencer. Lou,
Yeah, you know what? I really do believe that Lou, in his position, being, and he'll never agree with me when I say this, but I believe that he was a man in black that came out. I really do believe that. And I truly believe that if we knew what he knew or has seen what he has seen, I think we would be blown away.
Right. And I'm just going to circle back very quickly because I'm a huge supporter of Travis Taylor. I got to meet with him and talk with him briefly, and I understand the work that he's doing on a deep level. And I do see potentially that they have the same knowledge because they are coming from a very similar background. So this is a good question. However, I see Travis doing more boots on the ground research and really looking deeply into some possibilities that perhaps aren't discovered yet. And so he's broaching into a science that I think is a little bit new. And so I think Lou Elizondo is probably keeping a very close eye on that. And the research is being shared, but I do think that they're probably very similarly in the know, simply because I'm in the process of reading Travis's book right now on how to prepare for an alien invasion, which is, he wrote the book on it, right? And that book was on the desk of the man that hired him to be on the UAP task force. So we know this is an important book. And so as I read this book, I start to see some notes starting to kind of fall into line with some of the narrative we've heard Lou Elizondo talk about. So Lou has definitely read this book. And so for anyone interested, I recommend the book, because you're going to start seeing that maybe they do have the same way of thinking, and it's based on the same research that they're both kind of in the know of, if that makes any sense.
Right. I think it does. I will end it, and before we move on, with just quickly saying this. I think one of my insiders has told me, and I'm not going to say who my source is, but told me that the majority of every person involved in UAP research, and there's hundreds of them that we do not know, but all of them are experiencers. And that's the reason why they're keeping things quiet, is because they are all experiencers, and that's what they want for people to chase what they are searching for. Let's move on to Terry Hall here. What if the 90% of our DNA, the junk, is what the Anunnaki turned off to keep us from being disruptive in the universe, instead of them turning monkeys into us? What if the Earth is a prison? What do you think, Roderick?
Well, being the gorilla that I am, I think that I don't know about Earth being a prison, because I in some of the Anunnaki story, remember they did try to flood us out of here. You know what I mean? And just so happens we survived through the Noah story, and I still wish out of all these animals, brought two of two, he left one of the mosquitoes behind. But okay, you know what I mean? Why do you leave mosquitoes behind if we don't have them? But back to that statement, I don't think Earth is a prison, because if you go back to the story, was it the Tower of Babel, how we were trying to, as humans, get to the gods, and they ended up splitting us into four corners of the earth so that our tongues and languages and we couldn't speak. So I think we were their creation, just like AI is ours today, and then it got out of control and start thinking for itself, and then start destroying each other like AI presumably will head to. That's my opinion.
That's a good solid one. What about you, Tim?
I Terry and I were talking about this tonight, so I'm kind of I've cheated here, because we were talking about this exact topic. I love the way Terry thinks. He's always out of the box with his concepts. I live here, so I don't want to think of my planet as a prison, right? So I just want to take that right out of what I personally believe. But I like the idea that we're perhaps put here or perhaps trapped here, and you know, being kept here by our technology potentially. I don't know. These are interesting ideas, but I do think at some point we're going to find the answers. We're getting there. We're creeping towards it.
All right, let's go to Jonathan in the UK. Good morning, little Johnny Davies. He is asking, Roderick, give us your best assessment of what we are encountering.
In what area? Is he talking about UFO sightings, or be a little more specific?
Well, he's pretty in-depth and in tune, so I'll say that it's probably around, you know, contact, disclosure, and the movement of where we are now.
I think we are in a place that even the government themselves can't keep the lid on the bottle. Okay, they know it, so they're trying to get ahead of it. You know what I mean? As fast as they can. And that's just where we are. So they're getting pushed from left and right. The unexplainable is now needed to be explained. Okay. The unthinkable is now thought about. Right. And so therefore they're caught in the middle. And so as long as this stuff that we just can't see behind closed doors, those black projects, we will never know about. But like I said earlier, the more that we present to them that we know, and enough evidence that they can't hide it, is when they come clean. And so they're okay there. But at the end of the day, there will be somebody that's going to open up a door, and we're going to see behind the curtain like the Wizard of Oz, and it's going to change a lot.
Tim, what's your response?
Well, I think if there is an other, it comes in many shapes and sizes. And I don't think that we can really even start to try to classify it until we confirm that it's real, right? But from what I can see and what I've recorded and what my research personally that I can find that in my personal data, I mean, there's like orbs. That's something. They seem to want to interact. They act really odd. And then there's obviously craft with potentially beings, right? I've never seen beings, but I have filmed the craft. So I mean, there's a lot of potential. I definitely feel like there are others here, and it's going to become pretty obvious because they're revealing themselves to us in a way that we can capture it and record it and get data. So we're going to prove it, you know, and I think that's what's going to happen. It's either going to blatantly show itself, or we're going to be able to prove it with, you know, evidence.
Let's get to Sanders' question here. What's your thoughts about the Hadron Collider? Tim?
I don't have an answer for it.
How about you, Tim?
I mean, it's asking for trouble, but I think it's great. We should do everything we can. If we have the potential to investigate anything, we should. Is it super duper risky? Yeah. I mean, it's super risky. And it's super interesting, but you know, with everything that's worth it is you got to take risk for it. So, yeah,
I would just like to chime in here and say that I believe that we have to stop this thing, man, because there's too many Mandela effects happening now because of it,
right.
and I'm blaming it on the Mandela effect on it. I may not be in the popular position there, but that's my theory, and that's what I'm sticking to.
Well, reason I didn't want to touch on it, if y'all remember back in Texas, we started a project called a Super Collider years ago. We had to shut that thing down. And now it's sitting over there in this wasteland over here. But we were building the Super Collider, you know, same kind of concept, and get rid of it. You know, there were some issues, and the issues had issues. Right. So I don't know about everything else, but we ain't doing it over here no more.
It's just splitting atoms, no big deal. It's bizarre to think about what they're actually doing. I mean, I think it's incredible Would I like to create a black hole in a bottle? Sure, if we could do it. But if you drop the vial and the universe disappears, then no, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't create something that's highly risky. But I don't think that's what we're looking at with the Hadron Collider. I think that it's incredible science. It's again, man just making a huge leap, potentially.
Yeah, but we're talking about scientists, though, Tim. They run that junction of, here's the notepad. Let's see what happens when we do this. That's the problem. Right. It's when they do the let's see what happens, and then all of a sudden everything goes black.
It's Stranger Things. It's literally Stranger Things.
That's the problem.
And that's why that show is so great, because Stranger Things kind of does wrap this all up into what it would look like.
There you go.
I mean, it could go dark, but it could also go the other way, and we can make an incredible leap. I mean, if we had the potential to make space jumps and to be able to leap from one planetary system to another, we would want that capability. And so, this is down those lines of investigation, of like being able to create, magic, basically. And so I don't think that we should ever stop. And we shouldn't worry about the risks always. I mean, if we're going to hurt people, you have to consider that stuff. I'm just saying, for the science sake, we should always push science, I think, to its boundaries.
I'm with you on that. I'm just more of we just don't know. And scientists, I think, tend to look for the answer and not the reality of, oh my God, that's what could happen. We don't know. They don't want to take the guess what would happen. They need to see what happens. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
Atomic weapons. Yeah. Everything gets weaponized.
Yeah. There's a lot of tenure, a lot of government and private grants that are also dictating what happens with these scientists and where their support goes. The majority of scientists, I believe, would love to jump into the UFO field, probably 2 feet and both hands into the deep end without even wondering how deep the pool is. However, their careers, their grants, their projects, their NDAs, their school tenures are probably a little bit more important to them than the UFO subject. And the last thing they want to do is lose out on any type of money or funding or grants and potentially their jobs in order to pursue UFOs.
Right. I find it frustrating, though, when you see somebody like Seth Shostak, for example, who was in the headlines again today, in fact, talking about how there aren't UFOs. I find that very frustrating, because I understand he's been listening for a long time and he hasn't gotten anything, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And so
that's why Mr. Narrow-Minded Shostak should not have been put on the Galileo project.
Well, you got to have your skeptics there too, I think.
Yeah, but is it skepticism or and I apologize for cutting you off. Is it skepticism or is it his career?
Both.
A little of A, a little of B. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, please go ahead. I didn't mean to step on you there.
No, I think it's a little both. And you run that. They all run the risk. It's the same thing that Lou Elizondo, revealed in this last document, that we had people that didn't want to explore the phenomena because of religious reasons. They shouldn't be in those positions. When you're talking about, if you're looking into something for national security or whatever, that should come first. Same thing with these guys. The humanity factor should be over everything. But instead, they take that lower road and make decisions based on other things. And that's the problem that we have.
It's a great point you make there, that people are led by their bias.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot get into this topic with any bias. And so if you have preconceived notions, leave them at the door. You don't, but here's the thing, you don't have to lose any part of you to accept this new information.
Right.
You can still have your spiritualism and
Gentlemen, I'm going to get a hold on right there. We're going to take a break here, our final break of the night on Spaced Out Radio. We're having a hell of a show tonight. Roderick Martin still with us. Tim Senor from the UFO Report has joined us from Denver. We're going to talk about the MUFON Symposium coming up on Spaced Out Radio. Good times, good times.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
Hi, Tim.
Hell with
Hey,
the
it's
news.
great to see you.
Hell with the news. I don't want to do the news tonight.
No news is good news.
That's it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tim, my grandfather had that shirt. Just saying.
Did he? They still, yeah, it's vintage. Yeah. If it's not broke, why fix it?
That conversation. I couldn't fit the shirt, so it doesn't matter.
All right. Stunning Sonia's news. Looking gorgeous tonight, Sonia. Says, skip the news.
Well, Sonia skipped my. I sent her a message on Facebook. I mean YouTube the other day. I watched her videos.
She's talented. She's very talented.
I thought it was interesting. I was like, okay, let me reach out. And I said, well, she didn't respond, so no problem. I get it. I get it. She didn't respond to me. That's fine.
Well,
I
now
can tell
that
you.
grew the beard,
Hmm?
I said, now that you grew the beard, why not?
Yeah, I came with that Dave look, and maybe. There we go.
Obi Flett, thank you for that awesome super chat, man. I didn't see you. I hope you haven't been here for a while, dude. I haven't seen you in the chat yet. So thank you, buddy, for showing up. Obi Flett, dude, he is massive. He's got the big guns and everything.
You talking about this? Like these guns?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I'm working on it. I'm actually going to go on a weight loss journey in front of everybody, and the journey is to the kitchen and get more pizza. But what I'm no, seriously though, I'm going to do something about it because my knees are starting to hurt, and somebody called me and said I need you to investigate a UFO, and it's up in the hillside, and I got the trek up there. I'm just going to say, well, I believe you.
Send the drone.
I believe you.
Sadia says, OMG, I'm so sorry. I haven't been getting my alerts. I promise I wasn't ignoring you. Yeah,
my dad said that 20 years ago. I sent him a message, hey, this is your son. Hit me back. And no, I'm just kidding, Saint. I'm sorry. My dad didn't. I'm not a kid case on that. I don't even know what my dad did. I didn't talk to him in years. He's passed on. Good dad. But thank you, Sonia, in a way. But yeah, you guys are a lot of fun. I mean, and in a true story, 2 years ago, a year and a half, I was in the house. I couldn't talk about UFOs. I got on Clubhouse. I said, well, maybe I can start a club, Dave. And I was like, Tim, maybe I can get 20 people to talk to. Okay. And now it's 25,000. Then, you're doing all this stuff. When there was a time that you tell somebody in the first question, UFOs are real? And now I just get to those questions. And now I get the big one, Dave, is what do they look like? And I shock them and I say, what if we look like them? Just what if? I don't want to prove it to you, but just what if we look like them? Boy, that works them.
Yeah. I'll bet.
What is your Clubhouse? I've never heard of this.
It's called Wide Big Secret. Clubhouse is a social audio app. Now we plug them. They need some marketing more. And they got big when the pandemic was in, COVID. Everybody was like starting these rooms and these clubs and you can have conversations. So originally it was called Extraterrestrial Evidence. And I changed it to the Wide Big Secret when I did the trademark last year. But I became one of what they call a creators first winners of a program there, where they was trying to make their own creators, and like 5,000 people submitted. And so they picked me by 60 of us to do a show, and I was doing a UFO show. And I just said, hey, let's just do it. And it was it was the greatest thing because I couldn't find anybody to interview. They gave me $1,000 and said, put a show on. Y'all got 2 hours. I called Lou Elizondo. Of course, I email, say, anybody take my money. And then all of a sudden, I called one person. I said, would you be on the show? And next thing you know, I ended up with Linda Moulton Howe, Barbara Lamb, Kathleen Martin, Billy Carson, Whitley Strieber, and then with Alan Steinfeld. And then was another, I had them all. And you talking about trying to do a 2-hour show? It went over to about 5 hours. So I just threw in the towel. I said, oh, I'm not going to win. Forget it, man. But I was like, you know what? This is the moment of my life, you know. And next thing you know, 2 weeks later, say you one of the winners. And I went on to sign a contract to do a weekly show. And that's weekly with 2 E's, not W-E-S. Just so
That is so cool.
And yeah, so it's over with now.
So hold on right there. We're back on in 20 seconds. Doug Stevens, that is, or Donald Stevens, that's Dirty Filth. He does all of our art for the show. He's been doing it for a couple of years. He brings in just a little bit more entertainment to the show, and that's why we got him here, and we love him. All right, Peter, how you doing? All right, let's do this right now. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, we introduce our guest. Yeah, we're just rolling with it tonight, having some fun as Roderick Martin is here. Tim Senor from the UFO Report is here, doing cartoons. We got Dirty Filth hanging on out. And we are talking UFOs all night long, but we're going to spend a little bit of time here because MUFON this weekend has their big symposium in Denver, Colorado. Tim is already down there. Roderick was supposed to be there, but he decided that, singing at the clubs, and doing whatever else, chasing UFOs was more important than hanging out with us.
No, they had a one beard policy. You already took the place, and they wouldn't let me in the door. And I tried to say I'm not a Dave Scott, but since I look like you, and it was a big ordeal. And one beard, you got there, man. You got it.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you and I could go in there as twins, man, and they wouldn't tell us apart at all. The white beards, the beautiful sultry voices.
Starchy and Hutch. We just walk in there and we just go in there and put a whole new thing down. You to you, I'm the F to O. However we roll in there, spaced out on the radio. Why the big secret? However it works. I think we can. But you and Tim gonna hold it up. Tim got you. So
we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, let me ask you this, because I'm not going to be down there for another couple of days yet. All right. What's the atmosphere? What's the vibe around the Sheraton Hotel there where the event's going to take place?
It's actually a beautiful spot. A lot of drunkenness. No, a little. There's a little bit. It's a big bar and a few bars. In fact, it's my birthday today. All right.
Yes, happy birthday, Tim.
Thank you. And I was down at the bar, and I think I showed my ID or something. Anyways, my birthday came up, and so they made me this drink called an Almond Joy, and it was like this massive thing, and it was just delicious. I'm not a drinker, so it was kind of foo-foo, but it was fantastic. This bar is amazing down here. The food is also really great, but I had a chance to sit and chat with David Marler, who is a UFO investigator and actually currently the holder of the largest UFO library of documents, including the original documents from J. Allen Hynek. And so he's got all of the original Blue Book files and all of that stuff at his new UFO library down in New Mexico, I believe, Albuquerque. Yeah. And so I spent a lot of time talking to him and about his work on black triangles. And we compared some notes because there have been some recent sightings that I've taken, some witness events that have gone on recently. He's very interested in that. And we got to chatting about Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon. And a lot of people have the same kind of interest in this kind of boots on the ground research. And so we're kind of in this collaboration stage right now that's a lot of fun. Whenever I come across someone, they're very open to talking about their work and talking about this topic. And so tomorrow in particular is training, MUFON training for investigators. So I'll be spending the day doing investigator training with a follow-up on Friday with some presentations on Friday as well. But any bit of advice or any kind of investigator information you can gather and bring to your repertoire. I don't necessarily know that I'll ever be a MUFON investigator, but I am an investigator, and I do consider myself a student, always learning. And so this is a great opportunity for all of us to just go and see what MUFON does when they take reports and what their research is all about. That's my investigation.
Well, I will be down there as of Friday. I speak Saturday just after lunch. I got the good time. Everybody's stomachs are going to be full. They're going to be waddling back into the auditorium there, where old Davey's going to be up there taking up half the stage. With the they're going to be like
fans.
Yeah,
with all his fans.
Right. But I'm going to be actually speaking on the media and why the media hasn't done this story justice. And I've put together a really cool slideshow of what we're going to be talking about. And, unfortunately, I can't give it away just yet because you have to sign paperwork that says, hey, you're not going to give this away before you come up and state it. But, I'm very much looking forward.
Hey, we own the night. You can talk about it at night. You own the night. And by the way, my wrong Twitter. It's at Roderick Martin. I put it in the chat.
Sweet.
That Twitter I just started. I don't have any followers, but the one I post on is at Roderick Martin. And I did follow Jonathan from that, so he'll know.
Excellent. What I love is how you procrastinated to get this speech written.
I always do. I wait for the moment for
Sound like an insider. Sound like an insider.
Correct. Well, he wants to keep the information fresh. He wants to wait to give you the last minute details in his speech. So
plenty of practice. See, yeah.
Right, you guys are a bunch of jerks here. Hold on.
We've seen those tactics before. You know what I'm saying? And we see them every day. Why not? They work. So go ahead with it. They work.
You know what? You guys are jerks.
A little bit. That's a little bit, but not everything.
All right, I'll give you a little bit here. The fun part that I have is I actually don't write a speech. I actually play off of the
images.
The images that I have. So that is topic du jour. The media doesn't understand our story.
Ooh, I like that.
No.
I mean, that's kind of how it works. Then I go into who am I, and then I go through my experiences about some of the point forms that I have. And then I start in the questions. I always like involving the audience. Show of hands, is the media controlled on what they can and cannot say? That starts a good discussion and debate. And then I start into why weren't UFOs ever in the news? And it goes on from a journalist point of view. They don't believe in the topic. It's a waste of airtime on television and radio, waste of print space in newspapers and websites, not real news. The public doesn't care about UFOs, too sci-fi, not real evidence or no real evidence UFOs exist to those in the media. We don't do conspiracy theories, and the stigma of those who see UFOs is disappointing. So we go through a few of these points here, and I'm not sure why that's all of a sudden doubled up, but it shouldn't be. But
hey,
it
Dave,
is. Yeah.
I have a quick question. Do you remember, or do you know, back in the 30s, they would have these things, I think they were called regular stories, and they were within the newspaper, and they would be these little stories that writers would put in to kind of help pump up the sales of newspapers, but they were fiction. And if my memory serves me, they would have like Men from Mars and things like that. And so we see that the news used to carry this topic, but in a fictionalized way, right? And so that's an important thing. If you see how the media is still kind of leaving it as a blurb, and most of the readers that aren't privy to this being topic A and it being an interesting topic, they would still breeze through that and potentially read something as fiction, just kind of as they did in the 20s. Do you feel like the media does that on purpose?
Yes, they do. It's all ego. That's the whole point of my speech. It's all ego. So, for instance, if they were doing stories, it sounded like this. So anybody who has a flute or a clarinet or a trumpet in the stands, they could play the music right there. All right.
Right.
But here's where it gets important. What do most media types think of UFO people? They pray to Alex Jones. They believe tinfoil works. They've seen aliens, believe in fake news, minimum wagers, no dental plan, hate the government, zero education. And that's the truth of it. That is the truth of it. And then we go, yeah, exactly. And then we go into why did I just do that? Oh, well, I accidentally copied that. Let's just delete that.
I want to see the pants down thing. What is that? The next two down.
Oh, okay. So then I go into 2017 came with the TTSA and Tom DeLonge, and then we go, oh my God, the tinfoilers were right. And then we go into the media's hard reality. They were caught with their pants down.
You're going to get abducted for that one.
Probably. And then everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. All right. But here's the big thing. Do you remember Marshall McLuhan, The Medium is the Message? It's from the 60s. Well, control the media, control the message. And that's
exactly doing that anyway, though. They've been doing that for years. Remember Roswell? The Army themselves. Oh, we've got our flying saucer, and next day, everybody is in on it. Media, everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So then we're going to get into that no journalism necessary when the job is done for you, which the TTSA did a great job, because all we ever saw was Elizondo, Chris Mellon, David Fravor, the Velcro-haired Nick Pope, and Harry Reid, rest his soul. Okay? That's all we saw at the media. That's it. Every interview was the same. I think we can all agree on that. Why? Well, that's what we get into. When the media doesn't understand a story, they softball it, asking softball questions. Is it Russia or China? Where are the little green men? Is it swamp gas? Are they ours? Is it a threat to America? Where do they come from? Why didn't we fire on them? What do they look like? Are they from outer space? How did they get here? No deep questions, but remember the old Wayne Gretzky saying, ask stupid, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And this sets up the whole point of questions that haven't been asked, right? Is it just a military issue? What happened in Phoenix? What happened in Roswell? What about experiencers? If there are crash retrievals, where are they being, don't mind my spelling mistake there. Where are they being kept? What is hiding at Area 51 or other bases? Why will you not show us longer UFO videos? Who's flying the craft? If they're not from here, then why not call them aliens? What evidence do you have the phenomena is real? They're just simple questions. There's way more questions than that. Okay.
Right.
But then we get to the topic we had tonight. Why now?
Yeah.
Why now?
Yeah.
And then we get to with the media, when you're playing stupid, you can't see anything if you're not looking for it.
Nope.
Right?
Right.
And what do you expect? How do you cover a story you don't understand? 2 + 2 = 5, right? And then we take a shot at Paul Hynek because he took a shot at me in San Francisco. This is a funny game that we're playing now. Friendly reminder that Paul Hynek is not funny, but he loves Dave Scott. Then I go into my own experience where my friends and I saw an orb off of my patio, and I reported it to my radio station that I used to work at. And my buddy John answers the phone, and he's like, "Dave, how much have you had to drink? What are you smoking?" Totally played it off, right?
Yeah.
Didn't want anything to do with it. John had 2 conclusions right there. How many beers? How much bud? Right? This is where I knew the circle of trust between the media and this story was over. Don't call the media. Right?
Right. Right.
And isn't it amazing that the media does not know these people?
Right. Jack Valet in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then we move on. More importantly for this crowd, I don't know what that noise was, but more importantly for this crowd, MUFON. Why was MUFON never called by the media? You would think that after 55 years of being in the game, that the media may want their opinion on what is going on. Nope. When you feed the media, they become lazy. Then I get into the importance of the media, what is the media's role, and then the podcast, citizen journalism taking over the story. And then Each Grain of Sand is a podcast with a differing opinion. And then we use Elizondo as an example here. You love him? He's a hero. God praise Lou. Patriot in Lou we trust. Great chin hair. A-tip king. Whistleblower. Face of disclosure. If you hate him, he's a liar. Government shill. Never A-tip. Spy. Zero UFO knowledge. Disinformation. Terrible chin hair. Storyteller. And hates ufology. But damn it, leave the chin hair alone. Leave it alone. The chin hair is innocent.
It just seems like the media has always treated UFO like a gateway drug to other phenomena. Like, oh, if you believe in UFO, then you believe in Bigfoot and all this other stuff. And
all this. Oh, yeah.
it's very frustrating.
So then we get into podcast problems. Okay, because there are very few journalists, very few know how to ask proper questions, no follow-up dialogue. Most pray that for that aha, gotcha moment. All about clicks, followers, and donations, baby. A chance to be famous and go viral. Already pick their side, have an agenda with their voice. Opinion is not journalism. Kiss butt to their guests. Lie on their resumes for increased popularity. Clickbait for greater audience. Some solely look at destroying reputations. Let's make money and let's look to get famous. Most of all, many have never seen a UFO or had an experience in their life. Because of their experience, there are no differing opinions or thoughts. Or 3, they're so skeptical that they just ridicule the subject matter as tinfoil hat syndrome. Right? Then we get into, what's this one here? Where do we find the quality UFO news then? In your brain. In your brain. You're smart enough. The information game is being played. Choose wisely who you listen to. Right? Remember, the solution to the puzzling question is, are we alone in this universe? It only affects 7.75 billion of us. Right? And then next to this guy coming back from the heavens, this is the second biggest story in humankind's history. We need to remember that. And then we need journalists to know this and understand that this is more important than this.
Really?
I think so. Or Paul Hynek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. And there's my shameless plug. And I always had my speeches with where together, my friends, we own the night. And that
great.
That is your big time mix in there. Now, I will put different words in there. I will go into more detail as we speak, but unfortunately, you have to be in Denver at the Sheridan Hotel there in order to see it live.
That's right.
I mean, listen, we just got a dose of it, and I'm telling you, there you go. I'm sitting here going, see, that's why we here on Spaced Out Radio, we got it first right now, and we already know. So, headlines.
That's right. That's right. I feel really bad, Roderick. But did you already? Have you shared your UFO experience? Have you had one? I'm assuming you probably have. Yes.
Yeah. So what happened was I got here like about 2 hours ago.
Okay.
With Dave being such a great host that he is, he got that out of the way like early first.
I'm so sorry. I missed it.
I don't know if it was tactical.
I'll rewatch.
No. But here's the deal: because you are here now, and you could have been any other place, and as Arbel would say, you know, good evening, good afternoon, and wherever you may be watching this show right now, we're going to serve you. So my story, real quickly, was I saw a UFO when I was 12. It was flying around and followed by 2 jets, and that started it all. But if you do go back and watch the show, I do go into detail about my mother.
I will. Yeah.
Yeah. Some important stuff, you know, because I set up the you know, you have to set it all up, the animals and the zoo where I lived. But anyway, yeah, it's
cool. I'll definitely watch it. Right on.
And the one street light that still has the autograph. That still has the autograph of Roderick Martin on there.
There you go. So it was impactful. Didn't understand the significance of the moment, Tim. But today, I'm a UFO investigator. I do believe UFOs are real, and I believe that Tim is a great guy.
Good day, good son. Gentlemen, I got to say a big thank you. Roderick, thank you for coming on for the full 3 hours. This was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Our audience is smarter for you being here, man. Seriously. And me too.
I enjoyed it. I really do.
And Dirty Filth, thank you for the great art tonight. Tim Senor from the UFO Report. We will see you in just a couple of days down in Denver, Colorado for the MUFON Symposium. And then you and I are off to Las Vegas to see what we could eke out UFO-wise out of Sin City. We really do appreciate it. Roderick Martin, make sure you go hit his YouTube channel. Just type in Roderick Martin, and it'll pop right up. It did for me, and I highly want you to do that because we got to support the good people in this field, and Roderick is definitely one of them. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your hands up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Let's push it, man. Let's push it hard.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. We are clear. Fantastic. Go. Oh,
are we clear? Are we clear? Are we
Are
clear?
We
Oh,
are
we're clear.
Zap it
We
again.
can swear now.
We are. So we still on YouTube though?
We're still live on YouTube, but the radio portion is good night.
No. See, I tried to give my whole Dave impression. So I put my hair in since I got the when you was closing the show. So I was trying to make sure.
I saw that. That was awesome.
So I got the beard. That's the hair, and and I was rocking it. Tim, I'm sorry, you not gonna work.
That's how you yell right
It's
there.
all good.
Not gonna work. It's not.
I have hair envy.
I know you want to be in, but it's just, and then you have to put on a couple $100. It's just not a great idea. It's not a good look. Believe it.
I just want to wear you guys like a coat. And just,
Super Quest, Roy Washington, get a hold of me because I want to get you and Roderick together. Make sure you get him on your show and he can get you on his as well. And I think it'll be awesome. I really do. So get a hold of me, Quest. I would appreciate that, my friend. Thank you. I'll set that up for you.
No problem. And like I said, I enjoyed it being here with everyone. And of course, again, I'm in Texas, the Jumbo State is what I call it. And I have a George Norrie Coast to Coast Art Bell story for y'all one day, though.
George Norrie is awesome. I love the guy.
Let me tell you, when I was there 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, and we finished the whole, Beyond Belief, and he asked me, he says, Roderick, what's the future for you? What is it you want? And then I said, George, my answer is Beyond Belief. And he says, he just paused, right? Like, I got him. He goes, so what is it? What's Beyond Belief? I said, I've had this dream since I was a kid to get on, here we are, the Art Bell thing, or the George Knapp, and I, blasting out of Dallas like an unidentified flying object, blazing across the skies over your town, your home, slamming into your phones like a supercharged nanoparticle unobtainium, and I was like, I want to be on Coast to Coast. I said, I've done this on, and he just looked at me, and I was like, oh my God, that was asked for too much. So when I was leaving, he comes out and he says, such and such, whoever it was, he said, I'm going to help this man. He's going to be on Coast to Coast. I'm going to make his dream happen. And I was like, yeah, George. All right. So that was my 2 months ago. And I was just really excited about that because I grew up with Art Bell. I grew up with Art Bell.
It should be. My first time meeting George Norrie, it was in Vancouver. And he was at a conference there that Jordan Peace had put on, and he was the MC. And I couldn't believe it because as I'm standing there after the conference in the lobby, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, George says to me, "Hey, Dave, come on over here." And I'm looking like, me? He's like, yeah, you come on over here. And he knew who I was. He knew the show. Like, he does his homework. He is a smart dude. Right. And I was blown away. Absolutely blown away.
I mean, and he's been around it a long time. And I asked him, I was like, George, how long he said, he looked at me, he said, I would never quit. He said, I got one of the greatest job things in life. And I was like, wow. And he's just excited about it. And it gave me, I'm for the audience, I'm 25 plus 2. 25 times 2 plus 2. Yeah, I'll figure it out by the time we hang up. But the whole point.
Me too, today.
Well, congratulations to you. All right.
Same as you.
You got it down packed then, because I'm
old.
So old. And so my thing was, okay, I can be doing this for another 25 years and have some fun.
Why not?
Yeah. And so I was like, it really, truly, it just like, I was like, okay, this is it. I'm in the right place at the right time. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool. Do you mind if I ask, Roderick, you're a researcher, you're a boots on the ground researcher, and you investigate witnesses and you go and you interview witnesses. Do you take readings when you go to locations? Do you take any gear? What do you do as part of your research when you're working with a witness in a location?
With MUFON, it's a hierarchy there. Okay. And I'm gonna use the word cherry pick too. If there is anything that comes down the pipeline that's going to require a landing per se. Now we do have, different teams that will go out in those occasions. Now, if I'm going to go talk to somebody one-on-one, and like I said, I have never gotten a case where although there was a landing here in the Dallas area some years back in McKinney. Okay. But I have never been assigned a case where I will take some of the equipment to monitor the ground, check for radiation, all the different, stuff that we're going to be looking for, and just haven't found it. Now, right around when COVID came, a lot of our policies changed to where we did a lot of phone interviews. Now, doing that, you get a little more, aggressive with the questions in a nice way, like Dave showed on his slide, because you'll ask them, hey, you been drinking? And of course, they'll say, I had a little bit. Most investigators will say, okay, he had a little bit, not me, because I'm going to say, what's a little bit to you versus to me, and find out a little bit to them was a keg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They normally drink 2 kegs, so you're like, oh, really? A little bit, huh? So basically, to answer your question, boots on the ground has changed a lot when COVID happened. And we hadn't had any open MUFON meetings in a year to where we used to do the meetups. All of that stuff changed with COVID, and the way we handle cases changed too.
Are you able to talk about any convincing cases?
I can talk about anything that is not currently open, but I can talk about any of the closed cases. Every now and then on the show, I would ask the audience, where you live. Just throw out a zip code or something, and I'll go into the CMS, and then they'll be shocked. Oh yeah, we had a report 2 weeks ago in your neighborhood, and
That's cool.
Without giving the person away, we're not going to give those details out, but I'll let them know in the vicinity or what's going on. Oftentimes I get more evidence from the outside portals than I do within MUFON itself. Because like I said, if you think about it, we have national directors, state directors, you got people that's been waiting their whole life for the big one. And you can imagine that big one comes in, I ain't seeing it.
Right.
It ain't happening.
Even if it's in your hometown.
Even if it was in my backyard and my mama, it's going to get signed somewhere else, If it was an abduction, they took my mom. I'm just kidding, but no, not that part. But I'm saying if it was big, and you're in charge of distributing these out, and it's the big one, you're going to. They're more likely they're going to keep it to themselves. So,
gotcha. Gotcha.
I get cases, but I don't think the big one. But I do get a lot of cases from my outside where people send me documents, and I can do the same report, same investigation, same photo analysis. If Sonia, I'm gonna use her name here in news or whatever, just throw it out there, send me something, I can do the same systems on my own and come up with the same assumptions.
Gotcha. Do you see a place where MUFON could strive to do something better? I mean, they're not very proactive. They just receive. Am I right? I'm not. I don't want to speak out of turn. I believe they're not necessarily proactive. They wait to get cases and then they act on those cases. Do you see somewhere where MUFON could get more proactive with this topic? Because they're not represented in the public hearings. They don't bring any of the public's cases to light. So are we missing a beat with the potential here with MUFON?
I think we're the database is there, just like Peter Davenport's national, the data is the data, no matter where it comes from. But so MUFON is more of a catch and retrieve, right? And most people don't even know MUFON exists to even report. So that we don't get all of them, and so they don't have time to, I don't think the way our system is set up that we're going to be proactive unless someone comes and say, hey, we need this data. Do you have data? What are some of the anomalies that's happening? What do you see that's occurrences? So they can pull data, and because I can run how many orbs or how many whatever. I can pull those reports by request. But they're not looking at anything. Now, you got to remember the history. What I've known of MUFON is, we have had interactions with the government. We have had interactions. And then there's been rumors of, the people that was working with, I think, Skinwalker at the time were funding some of the operations and therefore handpicking data.
That's not a rumor at all. That did
That's
happen.
not. Okay, so now you can see that ain't proactive. People are there because it's a nonprofit organization. You never know what's going on with the information, and so I think there needs to be, honestly, a new generation of an organization that
they have to clear out the antiquated board of directors. That if it worked in 1989, it still works today.
Yeah, because you get what Dave and I is doing here. Okay, like for me, I'm a MUFON investigator. Now there's thousands of us, but there's probably only a handful, maybe a few 150, 20 that ventures off the reservation. And if I'm using that word, and not in a negative connotation, but off the system, that we are out here doing our thing. Okay, and a lot of them, they will go and say, okay, I got this report. Let me go drive down to the stoplight and see exactly what such and such seen. And when I can use technology, pull up the weather reports and say, I ain't even going down there because it was a cloudy night and there's no way he saw it. You know what I mean? I can figure that out before I go. So it's old school versus new school. But here's the problem. Here's the true problem. MUFON doesn't have a replenishment of young soldiers coming into the organization fast enough. That's where I came in, and I was lobbying for new people to join. And they mentioned it last year, in that I was responsible for more people, young people joining than they'd had in years. In one year, because
I can definitely say, like, I'm not just like, I'm only speaking for myself, and I'm new to this, and so I'm new to this as of 2019.
Okay,
when UFOs came on my radar as being real. Okay, potentially.
Now, was it through an experience, or was that through just you reporting and getting overwhelming evidence?
No, it was an experience I had with my family, and it made me. It was so obvious. I ended up changing my whole career, and focusing on this. But I actually forgot my question now. Damn it.
Sorry.
Shoot. Oh, no, it's okay. I think it was along the lines of the new generation. Like, I'm not calling myself that, but if I was to get into MUFON, I would want it to be something more proactive, kind of like what I'm saying, where I can do some research for MUFON by going to hotspots or going to, I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm just using that as an example. Doing something outside of the box.
You're making a great point.
Yeah, because I feel like the new people want something more substantial than just waiting for a phone to ring. And I also know that there's a lot of energy in the people that are getting into this topic because they're realizing that they can actually go out and capture data. So if they've had an experience where they missed it, they were just like, whoa, I saw a UFO, but now I'm interested. Now I want to research, but I want to capture it. I want to grab that lightning, put it in the bottle and show it to the world, right? So I think that's kind of the newer potentially. And again, I'm only speaking for myself, but
I'm just you guys chat away.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that might be the air under which new blood would come under. If they knew that there was actually something being done, rather than just waiting around for evidence to fall in their lap. Does that make sense?
There are a bunch of pioneers out there with MUFON. And when I use the word young people, and you made a great point, it's not necessarily meaning young in age. This is just a new hybrid of an investigator who looking at the phenomena with more of an open mind not spiritual. I mean, not religious, but more of a spiritual approach that something is happening. Okay. Because you still got some MUFON investigators that will still tell you there are skeptics all the way. But yet we got a database, they can pull thousands of reports and see some evidence and some not. But they can find, their curiosity can lead them to a different scenario if they want. So what I think should happen is people like yourself, myself, people that are bringing a whole different perspective on it and a different approach. Like for me, I try to stick with the bottom layer of ufology because I'm finding, although we got all these people that the word nuts and bolts, or they into all this top level, we still got millions of people who are still toying with the fact that UFOs are real, like Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just try to bring in those baselines. Now, having said that, if we put a catch net system to catch those new stories, because these are the people that have been shielded, they didn't feel it was comfortable, but they're now at an age that they know it's not right. Something is out there, that curiosity. If we can catch that, you'll get a whole realm of new stories, new people that have seen things, even they're younger. It's just because that level right here where I'm at in that group, or age, or the people that are still around MUFON they're just not on the technical, and not that they're not savvy technically. It's just they've been believers so long that it's what's the word we're looking for when people say they're just grown numb to something? What's the word? Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and so it's not that important that it's like, yeah, okay, we just talk, but there's a new people that will, hey, we need to know what's really happening, what's going on, why are they keeping this the big secret, what's going on with this, and now let's be proactive. We need to go. I bought a new investigators book in here, not investigating UFOs, but to track down government numbers and to get behind the scene, to get to police reports. I know thousands, somebody call the police, and what are those report goes? When somebody dial 911 and say they saw a UFO, and I'm sure it happens, I'm called 3 police departments. They go, we don't. You have to, by law, you tracking the calls. Who gets them?
Right.
But they act like they don't know.
I'm thinking like as far as what I would perceive the database being useful for would be to be tracking some of the repeating. So you would start to see patterns, I guess, and you would look for those patterns in that database.
Yes.
And that would be useful information. And I think that would be the information that would lead you to where you should focus your attention, let's say. Because this part of the world is having an obvious influx of this phenomenon.
Well, let me give you an example. Last month in April, this is throughout MUFON through the United States. Last month in April or May or whatever, April report, I remember. We had 324 sightings that month throughout the United States. What caught my attention was there were the top 4 sightings, if I'm not mistaken, states that had the most sighting were all around water. See, that's what you then start looking at. But one of the states that was number 3 that stuck out was Michigan, around water. Okay. Yeah. So when you start seeing stuff like that, like, wait a minute, this is unusual, but California, Florida, all of this water, and that's when we already assuming now that they live in the water. They've been here, and so that's right. That drives me to be more proactive in looking up more water events. Why we're not going in German, Cabell, all of them are saying it now it's the water, but
and the best piece of data that I thought came out recently was actually from Travis Taylor, Skinwalker Ranch, where they were realizing that they were getting gamma spikes at the same time as UAP in the sky.
Okay. And there was something else that I was just reading about. They were saying something was spiking at the same time too. So yeah, so I would look at and say, if you want to be part of MUFON, it will definitely give you an insight on tactics and the way of doing things, and then you'll start evolving it after that. Now, when you got shows such as Spaced Out Radio and Why the Big Secret, and there's so others, we're actually already in the ground. We're here on the ground, so to speak. And and I began to, one of the things I started focusing on was, I realized real quickly, while we're focused on what's in the sky, we need to start focusing on what's happening on the ground with the people.
Sorry for cutting you off there, but MUFON's biggest issue is they've kind of taken the same route over the years so that we see the Bigfoot Research Organization, the BFRO, do, where, like, for instance, if all of a sudden there's a report of a Sasquatch walking off of a UFO that somebody's witnessed, they will get rid of the Sasquatch portion of that report.
There you go. And that's made by decisions of someone individually who will decide the information that they want to disseminate through the portal itself. So when you got people like, Peter Davenport, who has his system or whatever he's doing, then they're taking in that data. But like I said, if your reach of what you're doing shows like this, all you have to do eventually is just say, hey, anybody want to report some things to me, send them. And then you'll start finding some similarities in everything else. And it's no different than, I've seen a report recently, somebody tried to report they saw a flying saucer. I just bust out laughing. This ain't even something I'm going to investigate. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, think about it, flying saucer. All right. Okay. So just as much as we had a 1957 Chevy back then, and now we got a new Escalade, technology has changed just for them, as they're not driving flying saucers today. You know what I mean? They're not. That's why we don't see them anymore. It's not even in a trend, So when you see reports in time, so reason I said that, we still got a lot of flying saucer people in those organizations, and they still think that way. They see it that way. And the technical side, now that we're getting dimensional, these orbs, doesn't resonate with them like that. They can't figure it out. This is not what they're used to.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah. And I mean, stuff, when you see reports of giant black pyramids over the Capitol and over major buildings in the world, and you see how people respond to something massive like that. And then you see, I mean, why a lot of questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come up with things like that, and how the public responds. And if it is real, why didn't it get put into mass media? And why wasn't this, front page news? But I think that somewhere along the lines, MUFON has come under that same thing, where for some reason, these amazing cases that MUFON is collecting aren't getting reported. We're not hearing them because it's the public, right? And unless it's military, we don't get it in, these public hearings, and no one really wants to hear about it. So what is everyone's motivation for reporting to MUFON, really? Do you know what I mean? Because I reported to MUFON, and fortunately, my case was attractive enough to really get a lot of attention. I was just given a lot of help, and I needed a lot of help because I wasn't doing okay with it, right? So it was great. But my point is that my case is just one, and I believe my case. And in fact, there was a saucer in my case, believe it or not, from 2019, and a Tic Tac and other things, like multiple things. And that's why it's hard, because I can tell right now, if I had reported to you, you probably wouldn't have taken my case. And that's unfortunate, because it's massive.
It would have been, I'm pulling up your case right now. So basically,
Cambridge Island Tic Tac.
Yeah. So you had 3 of them, right?
There were 3 objects in total that I got photographs of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So so I'm pulling it up now, and it wouldn't been it probably would have never made it to me. Okay. Depending on the structure of everything. And then what day was that? It was
July 5th, dude. July.
Oh no, the event was 5th, and then it's submitted on the 12th. Okay,
right. So. But July, dude, it's almost on the anniversary. July 5th.
then we're gonna have your anniversary. Your case is closed. I can talk about it now. You probably won't know what they wrote in here, right? Because they won't tell you.
I do.
Oh, they did tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't. They won't reveal, the end result. But obviously,
I know. Yeah, and so I do understand what their description was, and do you know what? So I was shooting at the clouds that I saw these objects moving, and they would disappear and reappear. And so for this case, I believe they said that in one of the photos there was a bird, and I'm totally cool with that. Totally cool with that. And when Maureen brought that up, she was all nervous about telling me it, and she's like, we think it may have been a bird in your photo, and I'm like, yeah, I totally think it could too. But what about this? What about this? And what about this?
The thing about it is, I'm looking at your stuff. You were so detailed. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when I see something like this in detail and everything, I know whoever submitted it. Well, if this is the photo dispositions, but it was really detailed. Everybody's detailed in this case. And what that means is that, not that this was thought of or thought about or whatever. Somebody is really truly have something that they're really trying to get an answer for, because usually we'll get some small and then we'll put the pieces together. But this is, and I can look at the pictures here. Let me check them out. Yeah. See, you got some nice photos here. Yeah. I would have investigated this. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your photo. Cause see, you don't get that good photos like this. Yeah. So
yeah, and there were 9 witnesses. And if 2 they were military, and yeah.
And he flipped over this screen share thing to me. I'll bring it up. Y'all can see it. See his photo if you want.
For sure.
You can do that yourself by just hitting share.
Okay, let me bring the photos up, and then I'm gonna show everybody right here. Hang on. You okay with that?
Of course. Yeah, please.
Yeah. Thank you, gorgeous Amy WC, for the awesome late super chat. We really do appreciate that. And good night to you. All right, there's two photos.
So go ahead and describe to everybody what we're looking at. I see it.
Well, by no means was I trying to make this show about me or my sighting. It was more just about how cases.
Our eyes are on you, and of course, the commander over there, Dave, says it's okay to continue, so we own it. Go ahead.
All right. So in this photo, that is actually where the Tic Tac fired a beam and opened up a square of light in the sky.
I see the beam going up, and it went up and down. You can see it, right?
Yep, it's attached to the Tic Tac in that photo there, and something either entered or exited through that square of light, and it was actually a box. It wasn't just a square, but it appears to look like a square here, or a rectangle.
You're right. We're talking where I'm zooming around, right?
Yep, exactly.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now we got the other photos. I can pull them up if you want.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Sure. And I think photo 1, and so it was such a weird day. And my sister's son pointed up in the sky and was like, "Oh, look, a saucer." Right. And that's pretty much what started it off visually. My mom had heard something, but she hadn't seen it yet.
Okay, I have another one. I want them to see file, so I just want to bring the photos up each time here.
For sure.
Yeah.
We actually I told the whole story on Dave's show. We did a whole episode, I think, on this, didn't we, Dave?
Yeah, we did. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. A lot of fun.
All right, I'm trying to bring it back. Okay, let me stop it and then bring it back here. Hold on. Taking up the stuff.
Let me ask the question kind of behind this, though. Why doesn't MUFON make these bigger cases public, or hand them up, even hand them up to I don't know, Ted Rowe or anybody that may take it to another level of investigation?
I'm trying to bring this up. Dave, can you bring his image up? I'm trying to, or you can't share it. Oh, okay, crap. I'm sorry. Yeah, he could have did it. Let me go back and share it. This is another one, and I'll answer that question for you. Now, you talking about Ted Rowe with NARCAP?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ted and I was in a TV show together.
For sure you were.
Yeah.
Alien
you saw that.
Endgame.
Yeah. So Ted is a good guy, and Ted had a lot of information and scary stuff. So think about what Ted knows if it really came out. We're talking about commercial flights and all this stuff, right? So that answers your question, just like anything else. You asked the question, why don't they say something about the big ones? Somebody knows about the big ones, but just like anything else, there, before that, for your file gets out bigger somewhere, somebody is making a decision not to put it out there. And it may not be with MUFON, or it could be past wherever we are, but it's not like you don't know. This is in the database here, right?
Right.
But
is the database still shared or owned by Bigelow? And I don't want to ask a question that's uncomfortable here.
I wouldn't answer it if I knew. I don't know.
Okay.
I've heard rumors in the past, but I don't think that there's still anything happening now. But that doesn't mean that just as much as I'm an investigator talking to you, that, SYB investigator, who is a undercover CIA agent, is a MUFON investigator. He got access to it too. You get what I'm saying? Right. It's not, they're not vetting. They do background checks, but
do investigators repeat back into cases that are considered UAP? So, for example, this is one of the 3 to 5%, right? This case. So once it's been classified like this case, do investigators go back into these cases regularly? Are these 5% siphoned off and shared in any way?
Yeah. So, for example, if this case came through the state of Texas and where I land in the system itself, I would have never seen it to be working on it, but I have access to see it. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
Because somebody would have picked it and said, "Oh, I got this one." And then if they're just overload, or somebody just said, "Oh, here's another case." And I'm not saying this happens to every investigator, right? There are some that just get a case and they just assign it to whoever got an open system, who was open. But again, if they do read them, somebody looks at them prior to we getting them, they do know who's getting what. And so at some point you're going to have everything else. So it's no difference than somebody saying, "Hey, y'all need to look at this case." And then it goes up the hill versus downhill. Right. And now at that point, I can't tell you what happens, but that was one of the reasons that Bigelow and a lot of them were accessing these files, because it was data. Data is data. Now, what it sounds like to me, and I could be wrong, but you can correct me here, is that you have a story and you want it told. And that's how we should tell it. It's your story, whether it goes into books or whether it goes into, because you got the evidence and it's your evidence. Now, it's part of their database, so they can do what they want to do with it now. It's sitting in there. You know what I mean? But it's still your story. It's your experience. And because you have a top 5% experience, then we need to get you to tell it. And then we can talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not that you have that, not that you're not doing that, because I just met you, but I'm saying, when I just took a look at it and I pulled it up, I was like, yeah, I would have took that case.
Yeah. That makes me feel so good to know that. Honestly, that does make me feel good to hear, believe it or not. Because this was a big deal for my family. I mean, it really, really was. And so, the photos don't do it justice, and even my story doesn't really do it justice, because there's like a long-lasting effect and an impact from this, 2.5 minutes that we all experienced. So, I don't, but there are plenty of other people that have had even heavier duty or experiences than this, and it just, I'm kind of amazed that 5% isn't siphoned off and shared in a grander scale, perhaps with a scientific community, or I don't know, just anybody else, because it's good data.
No, I think that it's going to go as far as not that things don't slip through the cracks. Okay. So all the MUFON data is public. You know, this is why if anybody who's watching, they get a membership to MUFON, they can pull this up. They just can't see some of the stuff I see, but they'll see your photos. They'll see, you know, they won't see the case disposition or whatever you call it. Reason why I took it down before I just brought the photos up. I don't need them to see what I can see your pertinent stuff, right?
All the math.
Yeah, all of that's why I said that was some detailed stuff in here. So which tells me to look into it because somebody's taking this very serious. Okay. Now that's me, and I'm sure whoever from above said this is something very serious because this is quantum. This is, you can put in the math that he got. We can figure out some stuff here. This is not some we got to go and try to put something together. He's done provided the details here, right? So that makes it a whole different level of a case. And so where I'm going with this is I do understand that it will affect you emotionally. And I've realized this when I was on Clubhouse and I interviewed so many people. And when you heard me earlier say it's now to start focusing on what's happening on the ground and not so much it was on the sky, because I had a guy interviewing last week and he was a full grown man. But one of the things he had was he just could never tell his wife about he saw an orb. And he literally almost cried a little bit, but he was like, I just couldn't tell her. I didn't want her to think less how this affected me. Right. Yeah. So I can see it and I see it on you. I see it. So I will definitely go to journey with you because this is what I'm here for, you know, and I have a book and something I'm working on because I believe you believe. That's a trademark I've done. And I've learned this through so many conversations to where, you know, people want to know, do you believe me, Roderick? Or that's all we want to know. Do you believe what I see? Now, to keep me from lying to anybody, and I don't, but to say to you, Tim, I'll look you in the eye and says, I believe you believe what you saw. And with that, I'm going to go on a journey with you because I can't quantify exactly the experience. And this is what most people think they want people to do. And so this is why the letdown in some areas from our government and all this, they just won't go there. But if they begin to the process of, I believe what you believe. So, you know, Dave can say, Rod, there's a leprechaun behind the dumpster. You see the rainbow. I don't see it. But Dave, my friend, is so passionate about it. And I believe he believes it's a leprechaun over there. Let's go. You get, it's enough for me to go on a journey with him. Okay. And the same thing, when you put what you put in here, you believe I know that's enough to go on a journey with this guy. You know what I'm saying? And I will go on a journey with you still today if you need. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And so, you know, and if that's all that MUFON ever does, that's still a lot.
It's still a lot.
And let me reiterate that Washington MUFON and Oregon MUFON were incredibly supportive. And I will say their names at some point if you ever want me to, but those people really helped me a lot with this case. So, yeah, I mean, I've made leaps and bounds. I'm talking publicly about it. I mean, with a smile on my face. I was never able to do that before.
Dave, remember the first thing me and you talked on the phone today, and I told Dave my mission, Tim, was, and I feel that it's a calling for me. I feel that there's so much trauma, so much seriousness that I want to bring humor to the subject, not to laugh at you, but to laugh with you. Because the minute we get you smiling like you are now, now you can look at this and say, whew, but at first you couldn't do that.
Yeah, I couldn't even look at the pictures.
You couldn't do it. Now we're across the road where now we can have a conversation. And that's where we need to go today with people, with this phenomena, get it to a point, because we're moving in that direction anyway. It's going to be normal.
Yeah.
But that right now, trust the witnesses, understand what people, and some of the people try to put it in some category of mental health issue. No, heck no. This is an experience, baby. And I'm reacting to an experience.
It is a PTSD type experience for a lot of people, though.
It's heavy. It's heavy. It's an experience. And and it's going to cause trauma. Yes. But at the end of the day, once you cope with this and the reality of what you're seeing, and it comes to the end of the day to where you can sit and we can talk about it like we're talking. Like I said, you couldn't even look at it at first.
Right.
Now we having open dialogue and you're smiling.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting? Even with this experience and as blatant and obvious and changing my life, I still am not a 100% like believer. I don't know what that was. I'm not saying that those are photos of UFOs or alien. I don't know what it is. I'm just deeply curious to find out what it all is and how it all relates to us. Like, why are we so interesting if they are coming to see us?
And the question would be, why did you see it? That would be the inner question. Why me? Why did I see this? Why am I the one that has to tread this bucket of water? You know, and that's usually the weight that it has on everybody, because it goes beyond what we do know to an individual and now to the individual side of things. Yeah.
Well, in your case, you saw something when you were young. Is that right? And that shaped you into this amazing person that's guiding and helping all these people. So do you think that potentially you were chosen? Like, are people chosen? Are we shown this because we have potential? Are they trying to tap into our potential? Is there something positive to be brought out of this?
I think there's always going to be positive from any experience. That we have to look for that in all the experiences of life. In fact, the room is why we come here, right? Is to have an experience, and whether some good or bad. But you know, for me, seeing it as a kid and now looking at it as an adult, it's different. And for example, I think I said this earlier. I just went through a divorce a couple of years ago. Although our issues had issues, okay, but she could not understand this phenomenon. Now, I had a problem with that personally because I'm thinking, oh, she don't believe me that I believe UFOs are real. We're not compatible. And now that I've studied cultural lens, I've studied how this, I'm sorry, she couldn't have. There was no way. And it's no different than what you're dealing with. So what's going to happen is it's going to be difficult for us to get other people to see it because they did not experience it or it's not in their spectrum of what they've dealt with. So the best thing is to let it accumulate with more and more people. It's like that social proof thing, right? More people, you see it, and this is how it works.
The problem is, though, this is one of those things where seeing isn't necessarily believing, right? I mean, it's tricky. It's just so tricky. Like, it's like trying to like run with water in your hands. The second you think you get it,
this is why I say your eyes are useless when the mind is blind. And I use that all the time because, but what's happening with you, your mind is expanding, your consciousness, your mind is expanding more and more. That is allowing your eyes to begin to believe what you didn't believe when you first saw it. You couldn't first saw it. It was like, but now that your mind is getting more unblind and it's seeing more, it's allowing the eyes to interpret. And now you can go back and look at it.
It's interesting you're saying it that way. Do you think that that's a description of the hitchhiker effect, quote unquote? Like, after you see it once, now you start to see it all the time. And is it because now you're noticing it?
I've just bought a brand new Dodge and all of a sudden now I see them everywhere. Right?
Yeah. Same thing.
It's the same thing. So eventually it's always been there. We just, our mind and the vibration of all of that just was not seeing it. Right. But it's always been there. And so you're not seeing something that just popped up.
Yeah.
And
it also explains some of those cases where people are standing side by side and have two different experiences viewing the same sequence of events.
100%. And it's that old Hermes thing, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? That's just that's it, period. That's what's going to happen.
Interesting.
What is happening. Interesting. And so I think it's more than what we tend to truly think about these things. And this is how I cope with it after talking to so many people. And but like I said, it's to a point now where you have to begin to trust the witnesses. You got to begin and not walk in their shoes, but walk with them. Okay. Because you cannot, there's no way to validate nobody's experience. And that's why I'm not the person that when somebody else said, oh, I don't believe he did. No, that is not your right to do that. That is not, because that is their experience. It was given to them. They were honored with it, or it was negative or positive. It was not mine to judge or to do, but I can investigate it. I can look deeper into it for them. I can help them get an answer that they're seeking the best that I can with the tools and resources that I have. And from experience of looking at so many photos, for example, we get these photos with these red streaks. I done it enough to know it's a Chinese landing. Somehow our cameras just does that, right? But people will swear up and down they saw a UFO. But I done it enough analysis, almost like a theory now, right? That's a Chinese lantern. That's not what it is. But once I begin to show them a little more detail of why this is happening, then they can start getting, oh, okay, I didn't see it that way. Yeah. So, but judging by these photos, it's rare that you get. Now, the key to it is that somebody else saw this too. This is wide open. This is not you're not driving down no dead road. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And somebody else saw this. There are other reports out there. Now, what I'm going to do later, I'm going to pull, and that's what I would do as an investigator, begin to put some of your details into the database, and it'll tell me if somebody around the same time in those areas have report, if it went to MUFON. And that's how I really started to analyze, because I'll go in, and a lot of investigators do it and some of them don't. I do, but I'll go in and say, oh, wait a minute, because they'll ask us if there are other reports from when we're doing it, but I actually go check. And then you'll be surprised sometimes you'll see a photo, same thing from a different angle. Now you know you own something.
Let's hope.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Gentlemen,
so cool.
I'm going to get you hold on right there for a couple of minutes. For our audience, it is time for us to say goodnight on the live show. And we are going to I have to get to bed because I got to start making my travels down to the wards of Vancouver to catch my.
Thank you so much.
Tim, get my email. Get my email from Dave, and then
I will.
And send me an email, and I'll send back my cell, and we'll.
Yeah, Roderick and Tim, you guys hold on. I want to just say, just hold on behind the scenes if you don't mind. Thank you, Thomas, Cat Chaser, Christopher, Big Dog, Smithy, Ken, Rob, Grant, Vaughn, Catfish, Obi Fled, and Amy for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. And thank you to our great guests, Tim and Roderick, and of course, Dirty Filth for the art. We're going to sign off here. I will personally be back next Wednesday, a week tonight. But we do have shows each and every night while I'm gone, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So make sure you tune us on in. We'll talk to you later, guys. Take care. Have a great week, and I'll fill you in on MUFON.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.